All right, welcome out to the Edge Success Bootcamp. We appreciate everybody being here, and I want to introduce Rod, who's going to be our first speaker today. Rod is the guy that introduced me to doTERRA, and I am forever grateful to him for that. And I just want you to know that the way he did that was he actually called me, and he said, he goes, "Hey, I have a gift for you. Can I stop by your house?" And he came up to my house, knocked on the door, handed me a book and a trio kit, handed me that, and then ran back to his van. And I was like, "Hey, where are you going?" And he's like, "Oh, it's okay." And he's like running back to his car. And I'm like, "No, seriously, come back." But anyway, so it worked out incredibly. And we're going to teach you that if you run away from people's doors too, they will become Blue Diamond and above. So anyway, so Rod, I appreciate him so much. He's become one of my closest friends I've ever had. And one of the things that I'm most excited about in my partnership with him in doTERRA and also in Edge is that he's the type of person I want to be, type of husband, type of father, and type of businessman that I want to be. And that's a very valuable partnership. So with that, I want to just go ahead and let's give him a warm welcome, Rod Richardson.
There. Excellent. How do you all feel today? Good. I want to ask you a quick question. What do you hope to get from today? What do you most hope to come away with today? Drive? So you're looking for enthusiasm?
No, it's like drive.
Okay. Go ahead. I realize I should be holding the mic for you. So duplication, you're looking for a way to duplicate for your team. Okay, so what else? Oh, the mysterious missing key. We're going to talk about that. The secret, right? Okay, Kirsten.
Clarity. Just clarity and what I have been doing and then the things that I've been maybe lacking and what I can do to improve those.
Okay, could you be more clear on that?
Yes, it's specificity.
All right, so clarity. What other things are you hoping to come away with? Go ahead. Oh, okay. Now, why do you feel like you're missing something? Okay, so what you want to know is how to train your team. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, excellent. Now, the whole bootcamp model is designed to make training duplicatable. So you're going to learn the process of building, so building becomes duplicatable, but the process of learning the boot camp as well as a leader, for example, if you could imagine yourself doing what I'm doing today with your team, now you're duplicating training. Does that make sense? So you need to first learn how to build yourself, and then you need to learn how to teach other people how to build, and that ultimately leads to duplication. All right, so let's start out with the big question. Let's see how many you got right. Okay. How about this one? What do I do? Is that kind of what you heard in some of the comments? Okay. How about this one? Who do I talk to? Or what do I say? Do you think if we could solve those problems that the world would be a different place? Probably so. All right. So this question was asked, what is the secret to network marketing? And there was a time in my business where I felt like I was stagnating at Diamond. And as I went along in that time frame, I started to think, there must be something I don't know. And I thought, there must be some sort of mysterious secret. And so we live here in Provo, Pleasant Grove, Utah Valley, and there's high mountains here, right? And so everyone knows that on the top of high mountains exists this guy. And so I ascended to the peaks above Utah Valley here. Now, if there were to be this person at the top of a mountain, it would be above Utah Valley. Would you agree? Because there are about 485 network marketing companies based here. So the guru has to be there. But anyway, I went on a search, and I started to read writings and different articles from other large builders and other companies. And some of the largest builders that I could find, I was kind of digging to see what the consistent secret or message was. And actually, there is. And it looks like that. It's the simpler your process, the easier it is to build. And I found that the larger the builder, the simpler their process is. And so we've coined this little anchor wisdom, and you'll see these little symbols, and they represent core philosophies. And these are the core philosophies that I operate my business off of. And so we kept boiling them down until we had a core, a philosophical principle that you could base your business on. Okay? And so this is one of the first ones. Simplicity accelerates duplication, and complexity kills it. So the more complex you get, the slower your organization will develop. Now, EDGE, you didn't realize that EDGE had an acronym, did you? Well, actually, it didn't when I founded the company. I had this name, EDGE Success, for a while, and then I was talking to Seth, and he goes, "Oh, the EDGE method." And I go, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, the Boy Scouts of America describe it as explain, demonstrate, guide, and empower." And I was like, "Oh, yes!" So the Boy Scouts stole it from us. Right? And so we have we've kind of adopted this as a core way of helping to create duplication in your team. So if you think of your process of teaching other people how to do things, then you can think about this message. Am I explaining it effectively? Am I demonstrating it so other people can follow it? Am I guiding new people in my team and helping them do things correctly? And then am I empowering them? In other words, am I letting them go and do on their own? Now, the EDGE system looks like this. It goes like this. We walk through 3 doors with 3 invitations that lead to 3 presentations. Now, we're going to do a little competition here because I can see the fire in your guys' eyes. And I know that you feel a little competitive with each other. And I know that this side of the room feels that they're far superior to this side of the room. And because of that, you guys, of course, naturally know that's not true. And so we're going to start with the smart people. And so if somebody asks you, what's your system, you say, all right, so they have EDGE and Find, Teach, Enroll, and Duplicate, okay? And so you guys are like, I knew they weren't that smart. Because the real system is, okay, so we got a phrase and we got duplication. And you guys are over here going, because you understand that the system is really okay, all right. And so you were like, wow, those guys, they're really confused by you guys now. And so, but you guys actually know what the system is. So if I say, what is your system, you say, whoa, did you feel the little embers? Right. So we got like a spark there. There was like a little energy in it. And you guys are kind of catching on a little bit now, right? Because actually you're super intelligent, right? And so you've heard what they said. And so now you, of course, have more fire and passion, right? And so your system is?
Walk through 3 doors with 3 invitations that lead to 3 presentations.
Whoa. I could feel a little tingle on the back of my neck. But you guys know that you have so much fire. I mean, there's almost more of you on this side of the room. And your system is...
Walk through 3 doors with 3 invitations that lead to 3 presentations.
Wow, most of you were confident about that. Most of you were confident. But all of you are confident about that. Is that correct? And so your system is...
Walk through 3 doors with 3 invitations that lead to 3 presentations.
Whoa, that was good. Can you guys do it better? Are you daring them? All right, let's hear it.
Walk through 3 doors and 3 invitations that lead to 3 presentations.
Woo! You guys are good. That's really good. All right. Now, you should have had your first aha moment of the day, because what you just experienced was duplication in action. And so what happened at first? Right, I explained it before. Did you realize that it was open book? Right? So I'd explained it before, and then what happened? Nobody knew what to do. And how many times did we go back and forth before you started to realize what to do? There was probably, I think we were on about the 4th turn, and then you guys kind of grasp it with a little confidence, and because they got it, you got it. Is that correct? Because they got it, you got it. Now, if you realize what happened there in the point of duplication is that I had explained it, but the team didn't get it until others on the team got it. And as soon as they got it, then you got it. And as soon as you saw their confidence, then you could go forward because all the doubt was removed, right? At that point. So this is exactly what's happening when you're trying to get your team to move forward. Or yourself. Oh, see? We got an official aha, right? This is one of those moments. It is absolutely, it should be like one of the major ahas of the day. Okay? All right. So let's look at the 3 doors of openness. The 3 doors of openness are a philosophical approach to your prospects. It represents what's going on or stages of openness inside each person's mind. And it looks like this. Are you open to learn? Which will lead to an essential oil class. And then it advances to, are you open to use? Which leads to a membership overview. And that leads to, are you open to share the oils with others and make an income with doTERRA? Which leads to a business overview. All right, so that's kind of a flow. This is what the flow is going to look like that you're going to learn today. It begins with your network and how you process that network and how you approach them and work with them. When you train them, what you train them on, how you advance to help that customer become a long-term customer inside your business, how you attract to the business opportunity, and then ultimately how you mentor people in that process. So let's start with the concept of network. This is a powerful concept. Who is your network? Who's that? Okay. So if I asked you who your network is, you would say, everyone I know. And right. So a network expands, right? A network is compounded. Have you ever heard people say that they've run out of people to talk to? And have you ever felt that way yourself? Okay. Now there's a reason for that. We'll talk about that. And that's because there's a difference between your network and your contact list. Most people, when they start out, are defining their network as their contact list, right? And we probably inadvertently do this. We teach you to do this, right? We say, make a list. And then contact that list. And so who do you put on the list? Everybody you know. And then you go through the list, and then you run out of names, right? And then you're like, now what? That's because we don't fundamentally understand the difference between the contact list and our network, okay? So a network is all of your permanent relationships. Your network actually doesn't go anywhere. You don't burn through your network. Your network is the group of people that you know or have relations or acquaintances with, and that group then is essentially your advocates in life. For example, I once had read that people with a network of about 5,000 people are millionaires. So what are you waiting for? Right? Basically, if you have a network of about 5,000 people that you have relationships with, you can pretty much do what you want to do. Now, I've been an entrepreneur for years, and I've built a number of different companies, and my power that I brought to various startup enterprises was my ability to network. In other words, I had a database at one point of 1,700 people in my personal contact manager, and I had it all keyword labeled. So if you needed something, I could actually type in intellectual property attorney, for example, and I could pull up the 10 people in my database that were intellectual property attorneys. The same thing if you needed mortgages or real estate or whatever it was, I had these people in my network. So when you start to learn or master the skill of networking, you need to understand that your network has to know what place you play in the network. Does that make sense? What is your role with your network? For example, all the people in my network know that I represent essential oils. And most of the people in my network have been exposed to essential oils because I educated them. Now, as a result, my network now feeds my contact list. My 6th line builder for Presidential Diamond is actually a referral from someone inside my network who had enrolled to use oils, by the way. So he'd enrolled, decided he didn't want to build. He's a millionaire already, so he didn't want to really worry about it much. And so he said, I have this guy that really wants to build. And so I told him about you. And I said, great. Now we arranged it so it's all a win-win. But ultimately, it was my network that found a critical player inside my business. And so your network is your value that you bring to the table. And so the core skill that you ultimately need to learn is how to network. Now, there's some really great books on the topic. And so if you want to really master this area, then I would go on Amazon and I would type in networking skills and maybe look at some of the books. One of the best books that I've ever read on the topic is called Networking is a Contact Sport. Isn't that wild? And it's a gentleman that describes how he became one of the top NFL representatives because of his power to network or his ability. And he ended up securing, being able to create all kinds of breakthroughs for big NFL teams and things like that because of his ability to network. My mom had a friend, for example, that was paid a 6-figure income by the government to simply sit in meetings because her network was so powerful. She could literally sit in the meeting, and she could say, okay, we need this person and that person and that person and this person, and she would make the contacts for them. So it's pretty amazing. So when you go out, think about it this way. Do you go out to prospect, or do you go out to secure more relationships for your network? Pretty powerful concept, huh? What does that do for your fear level? So for example, you get on an amazing leader's team, and they're like, all right, let's go. Write everybody down. Let's start talking to them. Right? And then you're like, oh, I got to talk to those people about oils. But what if I told you your job was to go out and add new people to your network? How do you feel about the fear of it now? Right? Because you can go out, you can go about your normal activities, you can go out even on purpose, and you can network. In other words, you create relationships. I once read an article from a very successful individual that said that his dad taught him to add 2 new people to his network every day, which meant that he would introduce himself and get their contact information. He would add them to his network. Now, in that exchange, you're probably asking them what they do, and they're probably asking you what you do. Now you understand what that other person does, and what the value is that they bring to the network, right? And then you've explained the value that you bring to your network or to their network, right? You become a valuable component to their network. So the key to networking is increasing your value. For example, what do you think I do when I find somebody wants to buy a new home? Right. I got asked, for example, Fred asked me right when I walked in the room, who's working on the tile in your new home? And I said, I don't know the person that's doing our tile, but I do know an excellent tile guy. So what's going to happen after this meeting? I'm going to be on the phone with Rick. Hey, found somebody that needs some tile work. I've just brought value to my network. What does Rick do? Rick is keenly aware of what I do. And he's going all over the place. He's putting tile in homes and tiles in commercial buildings, and he's associating with people all day long. And the first time somebody has need for my services and products, he's going to be on the phone with me, right? This is the power of networking, all right? So your network is all of your relationships. Who is your network? All of your relationships. Right, all of your networks, except for Uncle John, right? Because he doesn't like network marketing. Right? Is he not in your network? He is in your network, right? So where does he go? On your list. So who are you excluding? No one. That is correct. You guys are so good. A+ for you. All right. Here's this is a tool that we've created to help you manage your and educate your network. So you essentially start here. And that is the concept of getting all of your names written down. Now, you've probably often heard the phrase, put 100 names down. Have you heard that? I want you to put 1,000 names down. All right? Everybody squirmed a little bit. But the reality is they've done studies on this. People that are 35 years of age or older know 2,000 or more people. Isn't that wild? So what happens if you're only coming up with 100 names of people that you know, it's because you're not driving into all of your relationships. Like, who do you know at school? Who cuts your hair? Who are the people at the grocery store stand? Who's at your church or activities, or where do you volunteer? Who are those people? Who are your kids' teachers, and who are the principals, and and you start getting into your daily life, and you start realizing that you're connected to a lot of people. And so the key of this exercise, this pad, by the way, has 50 sheets in it, and it will allow 10 names per sheet, which is 500 names. And so my first challenge to you is to get a names list pad and see if you can fill it out. Can you fill it up? Can you fill the whole thing? Now, here's the reason why I would ask you to do that. Because if you do, you will never run out of people. In my last company, we did kind of some non-scientific studies. But we realized that people were consistently with 200 names or more that they actually process thoroughly, run through their full system, are invariably six-figure earners in network marketing. Is that wild? People with 200 names or more consistently are invariably six-figure earners in network marketing if they process those 200 names thoroughly according to their processor system. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to ask you again, what are you waiting for? What have you done? What did you do last week? Did you get to 10 names? 200? That's awesome. All right, so remember this phrase, your network feeds your contact list. Educate your network. Let them know what you do. Now, they don't have to be interested to help you. Now, if you follow this process, I have never run out of people to talk to, and I'm coming into my 6th year in doTERRA. I have tens of thousands of people on my team all over the world, all from networking. All right. Isn't it interesting that they call it network marketing? instead of marketing. Kind of interesting, huh? All right, here's how this works. You put their name in, and one of the key things that makes this really valuable is this cycle right there. The C stands for contacted them. In other words, I called them to educate them. Now, if you have, then you can check that thing. If you've sent them a sample, you can check the S. If you've presented to them, then you can check the P, which is the oil class, right? Now, keep in mind that we've probably done a disservice calling the oil class a class. We have probably should have called it the presentation. And the reason why is because class kind of creates something that makes it harder than it actually is. It also makes it more formal than it actually needs to be. But if it's a presentation, if you're contacting people to give them a presentation about oils, well, now that can happen in a variety of ways. That can be a formal setting, it can be a room with people, it can be one-on-one, it can be real quick, cover some bullet points, it can be a number of things where you actually present the oil. And so when you're thinking about the class side, think in terms of presentation. Have I presented my value? Now, every company, and you all are company owners, you're all CEO of your own company. Every company has to present their offer, right? Every company has to present their offer. So now you are all business owners. You're in business, and you have to learn how to present your offer. And that is the presentation or the class. Fortunately, we've made it really easy, right? All right. Now, if they enroll, then you can check the E. And if they'd like to host a class for you or introduce you to other people, you can check the H for host. What I really like about this is when you have the sheet, you can now see all the way down the column where you're at with each people. Now, the other thing I like about the sheet of paper is I can set it out by my computer. So by my computer, I have my names list sheets sitting out because I cannot hide from them. And so I can look at them and I can go, oh yeah, that's right, I haven't called Julie in about a month. Right? I gave her that sample. Somebody else has probably enrolled her by now. You've never had that happen, have you? All right. So everybody clear how the names list works? Some subtle, see, this is duplication in action again. Do you feel confident about how the names list works? All right, excellent. Okay. Now, how do we approach that network? This, again, is a philosophical approach. And I would imagine that most of you are approaching your network like this person. This is the hunter. Now, when I use the term hunter, what does that mean to you? Right. What does it say about your role if you're approaching your network like a hunter? Right, you got dangerous objects, and you start to hear words like stalking, right, and running the campaign of deceit, right, where you're sneaking around in the woods because you have to catch them by surprise, right? Because if you are the hunter, what does that make your network? The prey. And how does prey respond to a predator? Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I had a dream last night that I was in a tent and a cougar was approaching my tent. And I thought, this is what it feels like. I'm sure I had that dream just for today. I think, okay, there's that cougar. I was like, all right, what do I do to scare it away? That was my first thought. Catch it by surprise. Get out, right? Has any of your network done that to you? Right? And so when you think about it, this is a real core philosophical underpinning where you have to assess yourself on whether or not you're approaching your network like a hunter. Now, where this sets in a lot of times is if you get really desperate. If you get in a state of desperation, then you'll probably go into hunter-style tactics. Also, if you have an extremely aggressive goal. Sounds kind of counterproductive, doesn't it? But if you have an extremely, maybe even a borderline unrealistic goal, where where you're trying to meet tight deadlines in a short period of time, it will change the nature of the way that you approach your people. And it creates some interesting dynamics. I've had a lot of people rushing for large ranks and trying to do so aggressively, and have literally watched the culture inside of the team shift. And it actually de-accelerates the team. Ironic, isn't it? But it's because you've slipped into an aggression state, or in a state where you've become a hunter, and you're stalking, and you're going for the kill. Right? Now, the funny thing about the other thing that hunters do is they're always looking for the trophy. You notice that? They're going for the big kill. Now, how does that translate into your business? How about, I have a potential hospital, and somebody I know knows the administrator. And so you're now devoting all of your time and energy to that endeavor. And the same thing with schools or stores or any sort of big kill moment, right? And what will happen is you'll invest energy into that, and the chances are is it will not be able to outperform your regular mom that is excited to earn an income. So you need to remember that the big deal is the little deal. And also the thing that I've realized, I have a number of stores, I have a number of clinics, I have a number of different people, customers inside of our chiropractors, everybody that's associated in our team using oils. It doesn't mean that you can't have them. However, my network has taken the oils there. In other words, I didn't have to go force the relationship. I found somebody with the relationship, and they actually bring the relationships with them. Does that make sense? This is also a key to networking, is allowing your relationships to guide the direction of your business. Your relationships will take you fantastic places. My team is in 28 foreign countries right now, and I've only set foot on 3 of those foreign countries' soils. How did my team get there? The network took it there. And every day there's different phone calls of different countries and different people that are interested in starting teams in those areas. So it's okay. So another thing to think about. This is how not to approach your network. So the way that you do approach your network is like a farmer. So you have hunters and farmers. Now, what kind of words come to mind when you hear the word farmer? Aren't those? Can you feel light? I mean, do you feel like uplifted when you hear these words? Like we went from stalking, killing, big kill, all this stuff, to nurturing, cultivating, tending, watering. Don't you feel like this is so cool? I am a good person. Right? I am a good person. Now, what is the soil? So every farmer has a field. What is your field? It's your network, right? Your field is your network. You have your field. Now, what's really cool about a farm? Now, farmers, when you say you have a field, what do you do with the field? You work it. Do you go, I don't like my field. I think I need just the right field. Is that what you do? Is that what? No, because as a farmer, you have control over the soil. Is that right? You build the soil up. Right? You start to nurture or cultivate the soil, and you can build. I have a degree in ranch management. That's why I know a little bit about this. But a lot of my ranching partners or buddies actually study ways to rebuild soil so that they can improve the ground and improve the grass and improve the land. It's a fascinating thing. And there's whole groups of people that just focus on this. Really good ranchers don't raise cows. They grow grass. So think about that. If you're a really good farmer, then what do? You're not shooting for the crop as much as you are for tending the field. It's not wild? Yes. Let's rephrase that as fertilizer. Right. So if your network is the ground, then what are the seeds? Right. It's all the touches you make with somebody. It's all the exposures to essential oils that you get. So you're planting seeds. So when you're a farmer, what is your process with the seeds? I mean, do you go out once a week and drop one seed in the soil? So I go out on my back porch, there's my ground. Is that how you're approaching your business? How should you approach your business? Right. I mean, if you were going to be a successful farmer, what would you do? Would you get all your seeds together? Would you kind of organize yourself a little bit? Would you go out on purpose and kind of make sure that you're getting lots of seeds in the ground? Or are you going to hang out in the house doing whatever you do, and then periodically you're going to think about doTERRA, so you'll walk out on your back porch and you'll throw another seed, right? And then you'll do Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, and then you'll go, oh yeah, that's right, I have a doTERRA business. Go out with another seed. Right? And then what happens when you come back? Like you look out and there's nothing, right? Or weeds. And so now what do you say? It doesn't work! All right? So these are fundamental things. So when you think about building your business, what makes your business great? How would I cultivate a great harvest? Then I can think back to a farmer, and I can always reference that. And you can ask yourself, am I approaching my business like a hunter, or am I being a farmer? Are the activities I'm doing hunter-like, or am I actually doing what farmers do? Am I on purpose, making sure that I have seeds ready? Am I working with the seasons? Do you realize there's seasons in the business? For example, fall is always huge growth all the way through December. There's always a taper in January. There's kind of a rebounding that starts to happen in February. We come through the spring at high sales, and then you come into the summer, right, where there's always a slump and everyone assumes the company's going down, right, in July. Happens every July. Happens every January, right? It's a seasonal thing. It happens in everything. It happened in my consulting business before. It was always the secular times, and the big hot times were always the fall and always the spring. There was always lulls in the summer. Okay? Now, if you know that, then you can work your business on purpose the whole year, like a farmer would, right? We would prepare the soil in relationship to the different seasons of our business. Now, all of this should be making your business easier to comprehend how to do it and why it isn't working. Are you kind of catching a vision? Okay. I was hoping that I'd paint enough of a story that you could see your business against it. All right? Because you're never going to get a crop if you're only throwing a seed or two out the door once a week. Okay. All right. Now, when you're approaching your network, the first door, we have to start to understand, are people open or closed? So is the door open or closed? Now, it's really easy to tell if a door is closed because they probably look like that. Right? Have you sensed when people are closed? This is really the moment that makes the business easy or hard for you, is whether or not you can tell if somebody is opened or closed. Because a lot of times you'll approach people and you'll just be looking at the end result, right? You'll just be thinking, this is what I need from you. That's how you're looking at somebody, which, by the way, is a hunter approach, right? This is what I need from you. And so when you're approaching your contacts like that, you have a tendency to not see if someone is open or closed. One of the core skills, then, that you need to develop is to be able to read openness or closedness. And I've personally, this has been one of the keys to my success, is I've been very good at recognizing if people are open or closed. And then it allows me to determine how much pressure I put on it. If the door is closed, you don't want to kick it in. because that will destroy your network. Let me in. It's really good. You just can't see it yet. Could you imagine if somebody did that to your door? They came up, no, this window shiner is the best. Right? And you're like, get out, send the dogs. Right. All right, so here's the anchor wisdom. Seek openness. If you learn how to seek openness, you will start to naturally perform like a farmer. You'll look at your business like a farm. And you'll look at your network. You'll be nurturing that network. And so you'll be seeking openness within your network. And because you do that, you will be friendly to your network. And then your network won't be seeking to hide from you, because the moment your network becomes prey, then they will become closed and they will not send anyone your way. So is the door open? You've probably experienced this before, of open people. Can you tell when somebody's open? Tell me more about that. Yes, I want to know. I was at a restaurant one time, and I ordered. And when I was ordering, I asked the waitress about a steak. And I said, "Is this steak any good here?" And she said, "I don't know. I'm a vegetarian." And I was like, "Okay." But what I really heard was, "I'm open to natural things." Okay, that's what I heard. What did you hear? You heard, "I don't eat steak, you evil meat eater," right? That's what you heard. I heard, "Oh, she must be open to natural things." So I just kept talking with her when she came up, and then at the end, I went up to the front. I walked up to the front, and I said, "I noticed you said that you don't eat meat." I go, "Are you open to natural health?" And she goes, "Oh, yes, absolutely." And I said, "Well, what do you know about essential oils?" "I love essential oils. Would it be okay if I sent you a sample?" "Absolutely, would love it." Right? Because I heard openness in the conversation. Another time, when I first started doTERRA, one of the barriers that I had was I knew that it was going to be a 5-year journey to something significant. Right? I just knew it was going to take me 5 years to get to something significant. And the irony is I had a moment, an epiphany moment, where I was like, I thought to myself, I don't want to take 5 years to build something big. And then it occurred to me, I walked out in a little open foyer of my house, and then I was like, the 5 years are going to go by anyway. And then I thought, what is my story going to be in 5 years? And then I was like, 5 years from now, I might be going, wow, I wished I would have done that doTERRA thing. Or I would have been saying, what would have happened if I would have done doTERRA? Or I'm going to be saying, wow, I'm sure glad I chose to do that 5 years ago. And as fate would have it, I was sitting in my office. We have an office now. And I was sitting in my office looking out the window, and that story came back to my mind. I remembered it. I remembered standing in the foyer saying, wow, what's my story going to be in 5 years? And I looked at my calendar and I realized it was exactly 5 years. And I realized that I had teams all over the world, have almost this, multi six-figure income, and I was going, holy cow, this is 5 years. And so I got on Facebook and I posted about my 5-year story. I was like, wow, what's my story going to be in 5 years? 5 years ago, I made a critical decision to move forward, knowing it was going to take 5 years. And then today is that day. And then I recounted what had happened. And somebody made a little post that said, hey, if you're ever looking for a place to put all that money, you can send it to me. Now, what did you hear? I heard openness, right? So what I did is I sent him a private message. And I said, I can teach you how to do it. And he responded, I need to know that. And then I said, can we meet on Tuesday? He said, yes. Isn't that cool? I heard openness. So what you need to become skilled at is being able to discern when people are open or closed and learn to listen for openness. Because you probably heard somebody being antagonistic, right? If you saw that come up on your post, hey, send me all that money. Doesn't your family kind of do that? Prod you a little bit? Hey, you're rolling in it, aren't you? How do I know that? Because somebody's family member said that to one of our team members. Right? Hey, you're rolling it. All right, let's walk through the first door. So the first door with the first invitation, this is the first invitation. It goes like this. I'm just curious. Are you open to natural forms of wellness? What do you know about essential oils? Would you like to learn more about them? All right, now I need 3 volunteers. Go ahead and come to the front. 3 of you. All right, go ahead and line up right there. Stand shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
All right, now you guys,
Great team.
you guys are now the 3 doors of openness. Okay, so they each have a new name, and their new names are, you are open to,
Learn.
right? And that makes you open to?
Use.
Yes, you're good. And she is open then
To share.
to share. Okay, you got it? Open to learn, open to use, open to share. All right, I need one more volunteer. This individual must be emotionally stable. All right. We got it. Now that's a shirt that says emotionally stable, right? Right. This is good stuff. Okay. All right. So you are the doTERRA wellness advocate, and I am your prospect, and my name is Rod. By the way. Okay. Now go ahead and stand here. You can stand here just like this. Okay. And I'm going to stand over here. All right, now go ahead and approach me just like you normally do. You can call me on the phone.
Oh, okay. Hey, Rod, how's it going?
Good.
Good. All right, you know me already, right? Do you know me?
What's your name?
Rod, hi, my name's Alia. How are you?
Good.
Good. I got your name from a buddy of mine. Do you remember John Doe?
No.
Well, he's a great friend of mine, and he said that you come highly recommended and you might be interested in something that I have to share. Are you willing to learn about essential oils?
Whoa. Is this one of those network marketing things?
No, it's actually not. I'm just calling to follow up on a referral that I got from your buddy John. He said you were really open to natural solutions.
Yeah, not really. Thanks.
Can I call you tomorrow?
Okay. All right.
Got your wife.
Now you see why you need to be emotionally stable, right?
Let's try again.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a quick question, and this should be the second major aha of the day. Well, maybe the fourth, right? right? Because now you're no longer hunters, you are farmers, right? All right. And so, what door is she standing by? And what door am I standing by? Now, we're diabolically, is that a word? Opposed in our goals. And this is the problem with when you're prospecting people, is that you have to recognize that your interest is different than my interest. And this is why we have the 3 doors of openness. What do you need to explore for me? If you're interested in me. Hello? Must be that other network marketer. Okay, so what? Exactly. You have to explore whether or not I'm even open, right? So what happened in this thing? You can go ahead and stand at the other side. That was good. You did a good thing. You did a good thing. It was really good. But ultimately, all of your goals, right? You want people that are open to share. Is that true? You're all here to build. And so you need builders. We need to figure out how to get people to builders. However, if her approach is centered on this philosophy of door 3, is that going to inadvertently create problems? Right. It's going to create resistance. Now, when I do this exercise, I don't plan in advance whether or not I'm going to reject you. I just listen to what you say, and if I feel resistance, then I'll respond with resistance. Okay? Now remember the training method. It's explain, demonstrate, guide, and empower. Right? What did we explain before we started this exercise? Okay? And what is on the screen? The first invitation, right? Which is the approach, right? So let's take a moment and study it. I'm just curious. I'm open. Are you open to natural forms of wellness? What do you know about essential oils? Would you like to learn more about them? Okay? All right. Go ahead.
Ring.
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 Hello?
Hi, is this Rod?
It is.
Hi, Rod. My name's Alia. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. Your brother John gave me your phone number.
You did, that booger. What do you want?
I'm just a buddy of his. I was chatting with him. He's a good friend of mine. He said that you might be open to something that I have to offer. I'm just curious. Are you open to natural forms of wellness?
Well, you know, my brother. Yeah, I am. He probably saw my yoga books.
What a coincidence. I love yoga. What do you know about essential oils?
I have heard about them before.
Oh, good. That's a great start. What have you heard?
I know the witch lady down the street uses them.
She's probably a buddy of mine, too. Well, I am an advocate for natural wellness and for essential oils. Would you like to learn more about them?
Possibly.
Okay, great. Well, when would be a good time to connect with you so that you could learn more?
Maybe next year. After my kids get out of soccer. Okay, so what happened? What was the breakdown? Right, it went into a sales pitch pretty quickly. Okay, and so let's change roles. And it's all Alia? Okay. Got to make sure I know you before I call you. All right. Ring, ring. 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 Is this Alia?
Yes, it is. Who's this?
This is Rod, your neighbor that we talk every morning when we're walking dogs.
Oh, hi, Rod.
Hey, I just have a minute. So this is going to be real quick. I'm just curious, are you open to natural wellness?
I am, actually.
What do you know about essential oils?
I love oils. I'm actually a massage therapist, and I've been really looking for a good product to use on my clients.
Oh, that's fantastic. I have an excellent one. Would you be open to learning more about them?
I think so.
Okay, excellent. Would it be okay if I invited you to a class that I have this Thursday?
Class? Yeah, I love classes.
Excellent, excellent. All right, I'm going to email you the invitation so you have all the details. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for calling.
Woo! Woohoo! What'd you think about that? Now, why did that go smoothly? Okay. Right. Right, right. Now, let me demonstrate something. You cannot be open this time. Okay? So ring, ring.
Hello.
Is this Alia?
Yes, but make it quick.
It's good. I only have a second, and I really am in a hurry, but I wanted to make sure I got an invitation out to you. I'm just curious, are you open to natural wellness?
Natural what?
Natural forms of wellness.
Like herbs and stuff?
Yes.
Not really.
What do you know about essential oils?
I know my neighbor uses them, but that's about it.
Oh, fantastic. Would you like to learn more about them?
No, not really.
All right, thanks. Okay. All right. Now, what did you notice about the question set? You can ask them anyway, right? They're universal, and a lot of times, if the first question doesn't create openness, the second one will. I've had people say they're not open to natural health, but when I talk about essential oils, suddenly they are. And so you can ask the questions anyway. And so the key to the approach, now the reason it's non-offensive is because it's very simple and very direct. If you have an agenda, then it comes across and you start to use language that misleads people. In other words, you're trapping them or trying to trap them. But if you're real direct, in other words, I set the precedence for time, that it was just real quick. I had a quick question for her. I was just curious, and I asked her permission if it would be okay. Permission-based questioning. Okay? Did you catch all that? Do it one more time? Okay, let's have Alia do it. Okay. Hello.
Hey, Rod, it's your neighbor, Alia.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how are you? I just have a quick second. I wanted just to ask you something. I'm just curious. Are you open to natural forms of wellness?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Well, what do you know about essential oils?
Not a whole lot.
Would you like to learn a little bit more about them?
Should I?
I absolutely think you should.
I'll be there.
Class is at 6.
Awesome. Woo! That was awesome. Now, you watched a whole evolution take place here. What is the differences? I really want you to really key in on what the differences are. Now, if you memorize these questions, you'll find that you'll be able to do it naturally. And you'll be in different situations throughout. And your first question is always, hey, I'm just curious, are you open to natural forms of wellness? Are you open to natural things? I mean, you're just asking. I'm just curious. Are you open? Now, what I would bet over the next week or so, you'll find yourself in a situation and you're going to go, hey, I'm just curious. Are you open to natural wellness? And they'll go, what? And then next thing you know, you're in your oil conversation. Okay, so I saw a hand up. Yes. Now, right. Now, for the sake of someone getting started, it's important to recognize that there is a flow, right? For example, I can find out, I generally have people that are interested in the business even before they enroll. And it's because I have mastered the 3 doors. And because of that, I can assess really quickly where somebody is at. And I can have a person in the same conversation and go through all 3 doors. Oh, sure. I mean, you could do that, but just remember, simple and direct. Your purpose of your contact is to put an invitation to a class, right, or a presentation, right? You're inviting to learn about oils. And so you have to be careful to not end up, because if you get into a 20-minute conversation, then you've violated trust with your prospect. Does that make sense? Because you've said, I only have a minute. I have a quick question for you. Well, if you do that, then you better have a quick question for them, right? And it can't be, so if they come at you, what is this all about? Well, that's what I want to explain to you in the presentation. A lot of times, the biggest danger for people is getting into a 20-minute conversation where you're giving the oil class over the phone. And it's better if you prep somebody for a presentation before you present. Does that make sense? Okay, so hand up. Okay, so for example, if somebody asked me if it was a network marketing company, I would say yes, absolutely. Or I could say, yes, it is a direct selling company. Or yes, I am an independent distributor for a direct sales company. You know, there's a number of things you can say that are very direct and very honest. All of you will probably have a natural flow. This is just where it's boiled down to over the last 6 years. So this is the question set that's been used, you know, by thousands of people over an extended period of time, and it's refined down to that point. So, but if you feel more comfortable, remember you're a farmer, not a hunter, and so if your network responds better to that type of thing, hey, I'm building a doTERRA business, and I'm just curious if you're open to natural forms of healthcare. If your network is geared for that, then that's great. That's great. Because my initial network was, and I did use that. Okay. So it's an educational thing. And remember, this is a starting process to help new people start. And like Seth was saying, that as you get more advanced, once you master these things, you have leeway. These are all tools to help guide you. Okay? Like I was saying, I can walk through 3 doors almost in the same sentence. But I want to know that they're open to natural health, because I've found that if they're not, it doesn't matter how interested they are in the business, in the long run, they probably won't be able to stick it out. Or they'll get, you know, this is an involved product. All right, let's go ahead and have a seat. All right. Did they do good? Now, if they say yes, this was that transition, would it be okay if? Okay, this is permission-based questioning. Now, think about it when somebody asks you permission. How do you feel? You feel empowered, right? Because you've put the decision squarely back into your prospect's hands or your network's hands. Hey, would it be okay if I invite you to the class this Thursday? All right, now this is the class. We're going to cover this class, my old class. This is a presentation. And the first presentation is designed to be really easy to duplicate. And the reason why is because we've designed it so you can basically read from the bullet points if you need to. Okay? So there's basically five different components that need to occur for your class to be successful. The first one is that you actually open oil bottles. I remember hearing Rob Young, one of the owners of doTERRA, say, this company is designed to basically be able to move forward by opening the oil bottles and getting oils on people. And so the oils are tremendous, very effective, and so as a result, a lot of people can feel their power right away. And so getting the oils open in your class will take care of most of the hard work. Almost doesn't matter what you say from then on out, because mostly it's questions, unless you're in a real formal setting. Now, the second thing is that you're talking about their goals. So I have a little phrase. How many of you like to be a salesperson? Now, it's funny. Does it bring up a negative or a positive emotion for you? Right? Most people say, when I'm out mentoring, most people will say, I don't want to be a salesperson, which is ironic because we're selling things. Okay? So here we are, not wanting to be salespeople, selling things. All right? So here's a little phrase that might help you. The phrase is like this: nobody likes to be sold, but everyone loves to buy. So if you remember that, that should help you. If you're presenting value, remember, people love to buy. And if you doubt that, then all you need to do is ask yourself, why do I want money? Because you can buy things, right? Everybody loves to buy. We love to buy. And so remember that the oils are the salesperson. Okay? The oils are the salesperson. And that means that you are presenting the story. You're the facilitator for those oils. Now, I have found that when I am talking, I am selling. And I have found that when my prospect is talking, they are buying. Right? If I am talking, I am selling. If my prospect is talking, they are buying. Talking about their goals. The other thing is sharing your story. I have found personally that the only thing that really matters, if people are in your presence that trust you, is your opinion about what you're selling. And I had an experience with this a few years ago where this is really drilled into me. I went to a meeting. I had a board game that taught people direct selling skills. And I went to a meeting. I had one of my network members set up a meeting with an individual that had 12,000 insurance reps under his control. And so this was a potential for a training tool for him. And so I laid it out. We we're showing them all the features of it. We were going on and on and on and on and on. We were about an hour into this thing. And then finally, the person that set it up finally put her hands on the table and she goes, Tom, I know you're looking at all this, and I just want you to remember how I was a couple of years ago. You remember how I was, and you have watched me improve over this time. And then she said, I just want you to know that it's because of this that happened. And he put both his hands on the table, pushed his chair back, and said, well, okay then. That's all I needed to know. And I was like, so just remember that the real thing that people are grasping is not so much the contents of the presentation, is whether or not you believe that the product will benefit them or not. And so make sure that you're talking about why you value doTERRA products for yourself. You are a representative. This is an important point as well, and that is to don't be the expert. I've had a number of team members that are experts. They're oil experts, they're health experts, and they came to doTERRA because they really wanted to be able to express that expertness. They wanted that platform for all that expertise. And I've watched this over the years slowly culminate till it creates extreme overwhelm. And so I have some of my expert people get so much correspondence and emails and things like that they can't even focus on their own business. And over time, it creates a lot of angst and frustration. The other thing is, it's so much more duplicatable when you are not the expert. So I went and my fifth line builder, when I was meeting with her, I sat in her living room and she asked me about something. And I said, I don't know. That's a great question. Let's look it up. And she was so impressed by that all I had to say is, I don't know, let's look it up, that she decided to do the business. And again, this comes back to simplicity, and it comes back to being easy to duplicate. And the more expert you become, the more difficult you are to duplicate yourself. So you have to really determine whether or not you want to practice in doTERRA. Do you want a natural, practice? Do you want to be an expert, or do you want a team? And do you want to be a big team builder? Now, one of those scenarios creates freedom. Now, finally, you have to ask for the business. This is the one thing that is probably the most scary for people to do. So I know a bunch of people that have classes and have no enrollments. They'll give a class, no enrollments. And as I go and I go with them to some of these classes, I realize that what's happening is most of the time people are not asking for the business. And in one case, I had a gal sit down and she said, I can't get anyone to enroll. And I said, okay, what are you saying to them? And so we sat on the sofa and she was telling me what she says to people. And what I realized is subtly she was telling people to not buy from her. And I pointed that out to her because she was saying things like, it's okay, you don't have to make a decision today. I know it's expensive, and so don't feel obligated on any of the things. I'm not here to push you to do anything. Okay, so what is that saying to your prospect? Right, it's saying, I don't believe in the product enough, and it is really expensive, and you're going to waste your money on it. So I don't want to be for blame to that. And so you have to think about your language that you're using. And a lot of times, if you're having difficulty closing your class or asking for the business, it's probably because you have a fear or a block about money. And you don't want to be the salesperson. You don't want to be the pushy gal with the spear. Right? You don't want to be that person so badly that you'll push the sale right off of the table. Now, so asking for the business is really key. I remember creating a product years ago, and I like to go to trade shows when I launch a new product so that I can present it to 1,000 people in a short period of time. It helps me develop the language. Doing things a lot helps you develop the language. And so I went to the trade show with my new product. I'm sitting at my booth there. A person comes up, I explain all the benefits of the product, and then I look at them and I kind of give them the nod, right? Like most of you do, right? And then they would just stare at me with this open blank stare. And then pretty soon somebody else had come up and they'd kind of wander off. And about halfway through the day, I decided that this was not effective. Okay. I thought, wow, I've gone through a lot of people and I'm not getting any traction here. And then so one of the time it came up, I got all the way through the presentation, the real quick 60-second version. And I was going through it and I was looking at him, and then I go, Rod, this is really ineffective. We need a new question. And so I looked at him and go, so do you want to do it? And he said, he kind of snapped his head a little bit, and he goes, yes. Pulled money out of his wallet and handed it to me, and I was like, oh my goodness. And the next person came up, and I ran through all the benefits, and then I looked at him, and then I go, so do you want to do it? And they said, yes. And I was like, figured out the secret. So the next person came, and I dispensed with the value, and I just go, so do you want to do it? No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But I learned that I just wasn't asking. And so I've made it a personal mission that no one leaves my class without me asking if they want a membership account. Hey, do you want a membership account? I remember one gal, I went to a big meeting. There's a lot of people in this living room. There's one gal fidgeting around in the corner. She was just fidgeting, and I could tell. I kept seeing her out of the corner of my eye. She was trying to make sure that I was strategically mispositioned in the audience or in the crowd so that I couldn't capture her. Okay, and so she kept watching me and waiting and waiting and looking, and then finally I got engaged with a group at a table, and I was talking to them when she made her move, and she darted for the door. Of course, you know my rule. Right? Nobody leaves without being asked the question. And so she's going, and I catch the blur, and she's going like this, head down, walking really quick. And as she was walking, I go, wait! And she goes, and then I said, did you want to do this? And she goes, yes! And I asked her, I go, what's the matter? It's okay. It's all right. And she what had happened is she was wanted so badly, but she was making all these decisions like, okay, well, if I buy this, then I've got, that's going to impact my grocery budget. And then she was going through all this thing, and she would have rather leave than have to make the decision. So she ended up purchasing, and it was a great decision for her. It benefited her enormously. And so again, it just comes back to making sure that you're asking for the business. All right, now this is how the presentation works. We designed it real cleverly. This is what it looks like when a new person does the class. What are essential oils? Nature's defense mechanism for plants and cells. Natural aromatic compounds found in seeds, bark, stems, roots, flowers, and other parts of the plants. Highly concentrated, 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equal to 28 cups of peppermint tea. It's pretty good, huh? But what happens if you have a team member that cannot read? Right. This is what you do. Okay? We have a solution. I'm so glad that all of you were able to come and learn about essential oils today. Miss, would you be so kind as to read point 1?
What are essential oils? Nature's defense mechanism for plants and cells. Natural aromatic compounds found in the seeds, bark, stems, roots, flowers, and other parts of the plants. Highly concentrated, 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. 1 drop of peppermint essential oil equals 28 cups of peppermint tea.
Isn't that amazing? So, what's the difference between the two presentations? Nothing. See, this is what happens when you get really good and advanced. What are essential oils, you ask? Well, they're nature's defense mechanism for plants and cells. They're natural aromatic compounds, and they're found in all parts of the plant, the root, and the bark, and the stem. Right? They're highly concentrated, 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. And 1 drop of peppermint oil is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. Right. Now, The important thing of having an effective duplicatable presentation is that other people can do it. And I had an area one time that had gotten stagnated. There was only one person in the entire area that would teach a class. And this got to be problematic because all these leaders were rising up and no one was teaching a class. And so I flew out. I flew out to see what the problem was. And when I got there, the team met me at the airport. They put me in a car, rushed me off to a restaurant where we proceeded to do an essential oil class. And I essentially pulled out the tear pad, and I basically covered the bullet points. When the leader across the table from me's eyes got about this big around, he goes, "I know all of that. I could do that." And I go, "Well, of course you can. Why aren't you?" He said, "Well, because our classes have gotten so complex that we now affectionately call them the lectures." And they were talking about oil chemistry and everything that they would learn at a major event with Dr. Hill. And they were bringing all this great information back, and they'd piled it onto this class, and it becomes so awesome that no one could teach it except for the resident expert. And as a result, the team stalled out. So it just comes back to keeping it so simple. I experimented one time with this just to see how an audience would respond, this was years ago, to just reading the bullet points. And so I literally had a row of people sitting on somebody's back porch, and I sat in a chair with my tear pad, and I literally held it, and I literally looked down at it and literally read the bullet points. And at the end, I looked up, and I said, "And if you can read this pad like I just did to you, then you too could make money with doTERRA." And one guy jumped up and said, "I can do that." Right? I was like, "Oh, it works." Right? It works. So it's highly effective. Again, keeping things simple, just sticking to the flow, sticking to the process. Remember that the flows that have been developed are flows that have evolved over 6 years of literally tens of thousands of classes. Okay? This is probably one of the oldest standing tear pads in the company as far as presentations go. All right. Now, the back of the pad. We've now concentrated it more heavily on lifelong vitality and supplementation. Any reason why? Right. One, it's relatively easy to talk about, something most people need, and it creates your reoccurring customers. And it also uses essential oils, so it's a great way to get the oils internally, or to be using the oils regularly on a daily basis. Now, what we've done is we've taken Dr. Cardson's research and basically brought this forward as the value proposition of lifelong vitality. So when you're coming through talking about, here's the lifelong vitality set, it provides 22 essential vitamins and minerals, and you kind of cover the points there, then you can say, here's the problem in the world. When you buy a vitamin off the shelf, common vitamins, you're probably not getting enough balanced nutrition from the quality of the vitamin. And if you go to the extreme end and you have like these super vitamins, then it's probably overloading your body with way more than you need, which can eventually become more toxic. doTERRA has recognized all that and has carefully formulated their vitamin set so that it operates in an optimal balance for your body. In other words, giving you what your body needs at the right levels. Now, a little side note, we do understand that now that they've figured the science out by diet, by region, and lifelong vitality actually is geared for different regions of the world. It's pretty cool. All for this to create this optimal scenario. Now, the other thing that we've done is we've brought forward the idea that you can customize based on your personal needs. So you can get the daily nutrient pack, which is the vitamins and the E-omegas, and then you can add to it based on what your stronger need is. So, for example, do you need deep blue? Do you have occasional aches and pains that need support? Or do you need something that will help support the cellular energy inside your body? Or do you need digestive support? And so now when you look at that, now this starts to bring forward how you customize through loyalty rewards. You're already setting the stage for how we can lay the foundation for a good nutrient base to your life. You like that?
I love it.
Right. Pretty powerful. Now, when you're coming into the close of your class, this again is an excellent place to explain why oils are important to you. And then we've narrowed it down to a single question. So when we come to the end of the pad, you're basically saying, would you like to explore the options to purchase doTERRA products? And if they check yes, we've created a document called a buyer's guide. Now, when you get to this, if the presenter now has closed the class, or you've come to the end of the presentation, you've asked the question, would you like to explore your options to purchase from doTERRA? And they check yes. Now, if you're talking individually to your prospect, in other words, you should always go with your prospects to a presentation, whether or not you're the presenter. For me personally, just as a side note, I like to have at least one wellness advocate for every 3 non-doTERRA people in the room. If you have 10 people in the room, it's likely you won't get around to them. And as a result, you'll lose most of your effort and energy. So just keep that in mind. But here's the opening question. I'm just curious, what did you like most about the class? So imagine we just came to the end of the class, and we just had them check off the box. Now you're sitting with your prospect. The room's kind of broken up, and now you're just turning to him. So I'm just curious, what did you like most about the class? What does this question do to your mind right now? Right. What would happen if you just said, did you like the class? Right. Or what did you think? Where does your mind go when you say that? So what did you think? I really don't like how long it took. Right? I mean, you automatically go to what you thought, right? But when the question is asked, what did you like most? Automatically, now I use this for those of you that are parents. How many of you have asked your kids what happened at school? How was school? Have you ever asked that question? And the response is always, fine. My kids say, I'll say, how was school? And they say, schooly. Right? How'd you like school today? It's boring. Right? But I ask a different question now. So I'll ask them, what was the most amazing thing that happened at school today? And then they think, it's like causes a brain rift. It's like, the cute boy said hi to me. right? I mean, then I start to drive information. So this same principle holds to your class. So when you turn to your prospect at the end of a presentation, I'm just curious, what did you like most about the class? And now that'll automatically get them stating the benefits that they've come away with. Would it be okay if I show you doTERRA's product options? All right. So would it be okay if I show you doTERRA's product options? I'm just curious, what did you like most about the class? Would it be okay if I show you doTERRA's product options? Then you can say, now you have the sheet in front of you, has a question at the bottom of the sheet. We'd basically like to know if you would like to learn how to get what doTERRA's purchasing options are. Sure, you can question them. You can go on. May I ask why? That's fine. That would create the thing.
So you just have them check the box and then you just kind of move to refreshments and say if you said
Right, because now the presenter is most of the time different, right, than the person that's there.
I've never experienced that. So
Okay. All right. So if this is a class and I'm the presenter and you're the wellness advocate and he's your prospect, right? So I end the presentation and then I say at the bottom of your sheet is basically a checkbox of whether or not you'd like to explore doTERRA's product options. And if you could check that, then talk to the person that invited you tonight, then now here you are. Now the class is ended, right? Now you're sitting next to him. You turn to him and you say, hey, I'm just curious, what did you like most about the class? Okay, now that initiates the conversation about benefits. Sure. Yeah, there's lots of things there. Okay, all right, I got a cruise. All right, so the buyer's guide, it goes in, this comes into the next question. We've laid out the buyer's guide, so it's question by question. All right, you notice on the front, we start out, step 1, how would you like to buy doTERRA products? Do you want to buy them retail or do you want to buy them wholesale? Basically, question 1. Question 2 comes in. And this is basically which kit interests you the most is what you're talking. So you choose an enrollment option. Now step 3, so they choose a kit, right? And now we've designed this document to do the heavy lifting of the close because we're finding that most people don't know how to close. And because of that, they're not asking the questions, they're not following it through. So we've created the buyer's guide to systematically walk the prospect through how to buy product. And now the better and more skilled you get, then you can assist them with this process. But if you don't have skill, then a lot of the question sets are asked now. All right. So now what they're doing here, step 3, choose a customer or wellness advocate option. Now when they come here, this is just a subtle introduction to you can make money doing this. You'd be amazed at how many people will all of a sudden go, you can make money doing this? And so this is kind of an introduction. So you're coming up here and you're basically asking this question. Would you like to have the option to create an income with doTERRA? Now if you forget the question, what do you do? Read it! right. And so they're going to look, you're asking the question, would you like to have an option to create an income with doTERRA? Yes, that means they will become a wellness advocate. They can say maybe, or they can say no, I just want to be a customer, or maybe they want to host a class for you. We put these options in there so that they could choose, basically, do they just want to be a customer, or do they want to be a wellness advocate? There are things coming down doTERRA's pike where doTERRA is creating a stronger definition between customers and wellness advocates. And so this document is setting the stage for that. Okay? All right. Now, step 4, select products for your loyalty reward program. Isn't that subtle? Now, next to this is the price list. So there's a price list of all the products. And this is a quick explanation of loyalty rewards. The difference of why you would want to be on loyalty rewards. A quick explanation of the benefits, of how they get free product credits, and how many credits they need to have. So now they can come through, and if they're sitting with this document, now they can come through and check products that they would like. Then you can ask the question, would it be okay if we set up your wholesale membership? Now that's what you would say if you're in person. Then on the step 5 is fill in information, and it walks them through how to fill out the enrollment form. So we've added in step-by-step questions. Which kit did they choose? They can put in their loyalties behind there, and then entering their payment information. Do you like that? Do you like that buyer's guide? Yes. I'm anticipating it'll be very powerful. Okay. All right. Scheduling the membership overview. This is really important that you're giving the second invitation right at the moment that you're filling out the application. And it looks like this. So you're sitting with your person, and then you're going to look over as they're filling this out, and you're going to say, hey, our next step is to schedule a time where we can do a membership overview, and I can teach you how to manage your orders and get the most out of your membership account. Now, I found that if you ask it right at that point, you'll almost always get the appointment. And if you don't, it can be very difficult to get the appointment. And this is, now why do you want to do membership overviews? Now, membership overviews are the second presentation. And you want to do them because it provides a systematic follow-up. It increases loyalty reward and volume. Keep in mind, a loyalty reward order is as good as enrolling someone. Okay, so if you can get somebody on loyalty rewards, it's just as good as if you went out and enrolled somebody. It also builds relationships. What we found for a long time that people were getting stuck with just one presentation and they weren't creating relationships and it wasn't resulting in leadership development, which is one of our goals as a team. The process that we've created is designed to create levels and layers of leadership inside your organization. And it's not so much about efficiency as it is stability. Okay? Stability and strength. As a result, you can be virtually a number of different ranks and still have a very substantial income. All right, builds relationships. That second point of contact where you're starting to establish the relationship, which helps you identify builders, which is ultimately what it requires to create team. Now, when you get into this document, I start out with the top part there, entering their member ID and password. A lot of times I'll fill that out before I get there. And I'm not logging into their back office at this point. I'm just showing them the information. Then I recover loyalty rewards so that they understand how loyalty rewards works. Then I actually read the frequently asked questions. Now, why would I have them read the frequently asked questions, or why would I read them? Right. One, they're carefully worded. But the second thing is if they're going to have the question at some point, right? Because it's a frequently asked question. And so now because you've done that, they know where to find it. And they'll have that reference guide so that they can get those questions answered. The next slide, I move over to explaining the wellness pyramid and talking about how the doTERRA membership helps them create a healthy lifestyle. And then we recover some of their goals so that we can help direct them on products that may best benefit or customize to them. And then we move to the inside page where I start going through product sets, starting with the daily nutrition regimen. Now this starts with lifelong vitality. I'll do a quick explanation of this. This, by the way, is Dr. Hill's protocol. And what do you think the PV is on that? Right, it's over 100, so it's going to be a qualified order, right? So it's a qualified order if they do that, and if you're getting somebody on the basic nutritional foundation. Remember, this is the foundation, eating right, getting a good nutritional base in the body. So I put a lot of emphasis on this because this is what really creates benefit in your membership. By the way, those little check boxes there, I just tell them if they're interested in any of these products to just check the box. Then we cover a little bit about diet and exercise and the products that are available there. I just do a brief explanation. Now, if you don't know the explanation for the product, what do? Read the little bullet at the bottom, right? You can read it. Then I move to the inside. Now, the cool thing is have you ever had somebody said, you know what, I feel really great. Your healthy product just does nothing for me, right? I feel awesome. I'm never sick. I'm the beacon of health and wellness. And they're the perfect weight, right? So they're like, no, I'm the perfect weight. I am optimal. That is my name, optimal, right? I'm never sick. I'm never unhealthy. And I feel great. I'm just awesome. And so I don't have any need for nutrition in my life. And so you go along and then you can say, all right, wise guy, how about stress? And now you can introduce the emotional oils. And then if they say, you know what, I'm emotionally stable, and I have no stress in my life, not only am I fit, and I'm just the perfect being of wellness, and then you can say, oh yeah? How about this? Do you brush your teeth? Do you wash your hands? Do you do laundry? Smart guy? All right. Now, the other thing that this part does is it helps them see that doTERRA products can actually fulfill things that they're already buying. So they're already buying products to brush their teeth with. They're already buying products to wash hands, do laundry. They're already buying household cleaners. And so now you can make the case that they're already spending the money. Just now buy it from yourself so you can earn free product credits. And it helps us, again, establish the premise for loyalty rewards. Now, on the backside, we run through the cleanse. I'm always surprised at how many people are very interested in starting with a cleanse. And normally they should. If they really want to get the most out of their membership, then they should start with a cleanse because it helps prepare the body to be balanced. It's awesome. The awesome thing I've found about running through the membership overview is that as I go through it, by the end of it, for me, most of the time it's not what do I get on loyalty rewards. What they're saying usually is what do I buy first on loyalty rewards. They're making mental decisions because they see all these products that they want. This document, by the way, we've tracked about a 7% increase in retention. When we first launched it, we have a very large team. And so that's a substantial increase in loyalty reward. Now, walking through the third door with the third invitation, this comes to the back of your membership overview. You'll want to have a point for them to connect. You want people to become part of your community. And part of that community is making sure they know about any of your team calls, any of your Facebook groups, any of your websites, or anything that you want them to be connected so that they become part of the community. That's ultimately what team building is about, is creating community. And so when you bring people in, your retention rate, builders, all of the stability is going to be hinged on how much of a community you create in your own teams. And this connecting them is the first stage to that. Quality of content then would be the next stage, right? Now, when you get to the bottom, we're basically setting the stage to ask the clear question: Are you open to the idea of exploring an income with doTERRA? Oh, I forgot. I'm just curious. Right? I'm just curious. Are you open to the idea of creating an income with doTERRA? Now, how do you feel about that question? Are you open to the idea of creating an income with doTERRA? Right, it's a very non-threatening question, and so it's easy to ask. Remember, with each one of these questions, if you memorize them, they will become natural over time. And then you'll naturally find yourself in a scenario where you're just simply saying, hey, I'm just curious, are you open to the idea of creating an income with doTERRA? And if that becomes natural, it'll come across with confidence, and you won't have to worry about creating a negative effect from it. Would it be okay if I show you how to get your oils paid for? Now, that's a backup question if somebody says no. Hey, you open to the idea of creating an income with doTERRA? No? Well, would it be okay if I show you how to get your products paid for? Okay? It's a fallback. Both of those will lead to the third presentation, which is a business overview. Now, at the end, that's when I log in and I show them how to run their back office and how to manage the order. Okay? And hopefully by that time we have a list of products that they want. All right. We are going to break now to switch to Seth. And we'll go into part 2. The next presenter will be Seth Rizame, who was one of the first people that enrolled with me. But I just have to set the record straight. Friday night was his date night, and he and his wife were headed out the door to go on their date. And my wife was in the car, and she said, "Do not hold them up." And so I ran to the front porch, and I said, "Hey," and jutted off the porch. And he and his wife did run out, and they said, "Stop," and we did. We stopped, and we talked for a minute. But my wife was tugging me. It's their date night. It's their date night. So that's the other part. But running in fear is also, a good story. It makes for a good story. But Seth has been a fantastic friend of mine for a long time, even before doTERRA, and he's a really valued business partner as well. We've done a lot. He's done a lot of amazing things in his life. Some of the companies around here that you see on billboards and things like that are companies that he helped start, and so he's an entrepreneurial person as well, which is why he and I get along so well. And so without taking up any more time, we'll introduce Seth.
I don't believe his side of the story. I think he was running back to the car. I think he was chicken, and I like that story better. Okay, so this next section is all about door 3 and beyond. So when you look at the third door, this is when you're inviting someone to explore the business side of doTERRA. Let me just say that the 3 doors is a fantastic framework that helps you know how to approach your network. One of the reasons why it's effective is because it removes fear. For example, when you're calling your names list, did anybody else here have any angst about calling someone because of what they would think about you because you were doing network marketing? Was that a concern for anyone? Right? That's almost everyone, right? And if you've ever felt scared to call somebody, have you ever said things like this? I would talk to them, but they make plenty of money. Has that ever crossed your mind? Okay, so in other words, what door are you concerned with? 3. You're so concerned with door number 3 that you're going, oh, they already make plenty of money, so I'm not going to even talk to them about natural health, right, or the essential oils. How about this? I would call them, except they don't have very much money. I don't think they could afford the oils. Have any of you done that? All right, what door are you consumed with? 2. I don't know if they're going to be able to use the products, and so you don't call them. And or have you ever not called someone because you were afraid of how they would perceive you because you were trying to sell them something, or because you were involved in network marketing? And ultimately, if those concerns are there, it's because you are thinking about doors 2 and 3. Or excuse me, 2 and 3, yes. Now, if you then think of those people that you're afraid to call, right? Do you have anybody in your mind? Someone that you're afraid to actually contact? Forget doors 2 and 3. Just focus on door number 1. Who in this world would be open to learning how to take care of their family naturally using essential oils? Who would be open to learn how to do that? Now, what you should feel when you start asking yourself that question is a sense of relief, and the fear starts to leave, right? Because, in fact, when I started asking myself that question, I all of a sudden felt obligated to contact people instead of scared to contact them, right? Now, as you get going in this, there also... So in other words, I guess the reason I bring this up is because the 3-door method is a method that we've used to help people remove the fear out of their own heart about contacting people and help them focus on just see who's open to learn. Oh, and by the way, most of your network would be open to at least learning. Okay? So that's why we've used that method and in that order. However, if you felt completely comfortable with the business opportunity, completely comfortable with what, and not afraid of what other people are going to think of you because you're doing network marketing, then you can start with door 3. And there are times when I have started with door 3. Rod started with door 3. In fact, the first email that he sent to me was, hey, we should do this. And it had a little video, and it was, I think Teresa Harding was teaching a class, and it had a business opportunity at the end of it. And I remember going, Rod Richardson is doing network marketing? What? Like, I was so shocked that it actually, that's what caused me to be open, right? Because normally door 3 was closed for me. When someone approached me about network marketing, I was closed automatically. And the thing about the 3 doors is that it takes people who are normally closed to network marketing and it opens them up a little at a time. Now, if you run into a closed door, what do? You beat it down. No, I'm kidding. You don't do that. you just simply, you invite and you seek that openness. Rod talked a lot about seeking openness, and he said that sometimes he could actually go all the way through the 3 doors in the first conversation. Let me show you how that would look. I gave someone a call on my team, and I said, hey, her name's Courtney. I said, Courtney, are you open to natural forms of wellness? And she goes, yeah, I am. And I said, oh, really? Well, what do you use? I didn't have these 3 questions back then. And she goes, oh, essential oils, things like that. And I went, oh, what brand do you use? doTERRA. I'm like, oh, okay, so think about what just happened. I called her about door number 1. Was she open to learning about oils? Yeah, in fact, was she open to use the oils? She already was. She had advanced through doors 1 and 2. Do you see how, if you understand the 3-door method, it can actually give you the understanding of where to go next with a person? So then I said, oh, so are you building a business with doTERRA? And she goes, oh, no, I haven't signed up yet. Yes. And then I said, well, would you be open to building a business with me? Right? First conversation, first call, all the way to door number 3. By the way, good lesson on why you don't just give people samples and don't follow up. She does what, 600,000 OV every month? You know? I mean, so it's like, someone should have followed up with her. So the fortune's in the follow-up, as is the point. Okay, is this making sense, though? If you understand the 3 doors, then you can go to the door that meets the person's need. Also, it does not mean that you cannot start with door 3 if the opportunity presents itself. For example, let's say I called somebody up and I said, hey, are you open to natural forms of healthcare? And they said, yeah, I am, but I'm not interested. I don't want to go to your class, right? They know right out the gate. You go, what do you know about essential oils? I've already been to classes. I'm sorry, I just can't afford anything right now. And I said, well, would you like to learn more? No, really, I don't want to learn more because then I'm going to want to buy, and I can't afford it. So in other words, door 1 is closed. Door 2 is closed. I don't want to learn about it because then I'm going to want to buy it. And why were doors 1 and 2 closed? Because their finances were tight. And so just like Rod mentioned earlier in his presentation about what he heard, I hear openness to door 3. I go, well, would you be open to exploring ways to create an income? Right? And so I can go where the person takes me, and I can go where the door is open. Many times, door 3 is a way to open doors 1 and 2, if that makes sense. Is this clear? Is this making sense? So don't be so rigid. I think a lot of times people see this and they walk out and they go, thou shalt not talk to anyone about the business first. And I just kind of go, not totally. If someone's open to it, go where they're open. Find the person who's open. Okay? All right. Now, with that said, I love the business overview. So the system that Rod talked about earlier is we invite people through 3 doors using 3 invitations with 3 that lead to 3 presentations. Well, the invitation to this is when we're at the end of the membership overview and we ask the question, are you open to the idea of creating an income with doTERRA? Now, I want you to pay attention to that language and compare it to this. Are you open to building a business with doTERRA? Are you open to the idea of creating an income with doTERRA? One's a little intimidating and one is just like, oh yeah, I'm open to the idea. In fact, when we say, hey, are you open? Who in the world goes, no, I'm closed? No one wants to say that they're closed. And so just seeking that openness and asking if people are open, just asking the question will a lot of times get them to be open. So when I schedule a business overview, let me just say this. When let's talk about like if I wanted to go and build up an area, an out-of-town area. When I first go to an area that's out of town, I'll call someone up. Let's say they're 12 hours from me, a drive or something like that. My first few trips to that area is me teaching classes. I'm like, can you get a class together? Can you host a class? Let me teach you how to get people to the class, and they do that. And when I show up, I am teaching classes. And then the next set of trips that I'm going up there, I'm saying, hey, you know how to teach the classes. Let me now take you with do some membership overviews with you. And my trips now are focused on the member overview. But eventually, the leadership gets established enough that they can teach classes, they can teach membership overviews, and now my job is to go in there and close builders, get builders on the team. And that happens with business overviews. I find that in addition to training events like this, if you are a higher rank in the company, training events and business overviews is the best use of your time. Other people can teach classes. Other people can do membership overviews. But there is something to be said for a business overview by someone who is already financially free in the business. And so if you have an upline that comes to your area and you're wondering what the best use of their time is, get them in front of your people doing business overviews. Because look, as good as it was back when I was doing it before I was making any money in this, there's something different between the saying, hey, this is how much you can make, to this is how much you will make. And they go, really? Are you making that? And you go, mm-hmm. And they go, no way. And you're like, yeah, way. It's awesome. And then they just kind of go, okay, right? I mean, it really brings a level of success to this event. All right, so let's look in the business overview. If any of you have not received the business overview, I'm about to give you one. All right, so look at the front page of the business overview. That's where it starts. On this, the business overview, the first thing I do is I read this story to them, or I have them read it to me. Okay, so there was a man who lived in a village that was 2 miles from the nearest water source. His job was to haul buckets of water to the village every day. Since everyone needed water, he had perfect job security. To earn more money, he would simply make more trips. After years of hauling buckets, he realized that if he didn't change something, he'd be hauling buckets his entire life. So he made a plan. He would haul as many buckets as he needed to pay the bills, and in his spare time, he would work on building a pipeline. He stayed consistent and persistent in his pipeline building efforts. A few years later, he finally finished the pipeline and turned on the spigot in the village. The villagers could come and get water whenever they wanted. He not only created a pipeline of water, but he created a financial pipeline that would allow him to pursue his greater cause and higher purpose in life. Are you hauling buckets, or are you creating a pipeline? This business overview will demonstrate how simply sharing essential oils with others can help you create a financial pipeline. At this point, I'd like to have a conversation with you and with them. Are you now creating a pipeline, or are you hauling buckets? And there are a lot of people who make a lot of money hauling buckets. In fact, when I first read this story, a similar story to this in a book called The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, when I was going to school with complete intention on being a dentist, that's what my undergrad was all pre-dent. I did not have passion for teeth, tartar, or cavities. Gingivitis, I didn't care. None of that. But they made a lot of money, and they seemed to have a good lifestyle, and so I wanted to be a dentist. Then I read that story, and it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I'm going to school to haul buckets. That story is so powerful when it clicks in someone's head, and they go, I actually am hauling buckets. And they could be making a ton of money hauling buckets. But if they're hauling buckets, they can't go and pursue the things that are really important to them. So then I get into, like I said, I just explained the story. Excuse me. Question is, are you hauling buckets? And then we get into the business overview. The first section is why make doTERRA your pipeline? And the reason why this is important is because people need to realize that doTERRA itself is a fantastic pipeline because of all of these things, in particular the retention rate. Now, the retention rate in doTERRA is 65%. In fact, if you look right here, 3 times the industry average. 65% of doTERRA's customers order regularly, meaning at least once every 1 to 3 months. 65% of everyone who has ever signed up in doTERRA orders product on a regular basis. 4% order at least once annually. Now, in the industry, in the network marketing industry, the number is about 13% order once per year. Okay, now the reason I bring that up is because the reason people hate network marketing so much is because they preach the pipeline without the ability to create a pipeline. Look, if I'm having to replace 87% of my team annually, calling it a pipeline, that's not a pipeline. That just isn't. doTERRA, why make doTERRA your pipeline? Well, first of all, it actually has the capacity to be a pipeline. Now, another thing that's cool about that number, I heard Corey Lindley say that 82% of everyone who's ever signed up in doTERRA has never enrolled another person. All right, let's think about that. What are we up to as far as wellness advocates? 2 point something million? 82% have never signed up another person. And yet, 74% of them order at least annually, and 65% of them order regularly. What does this tell you? It is a pipeline. And it tells you this. Product sales are independent of the opportunity. People buy the product not because they are building a business in doTERRA, but because the product value stands on its own 2 feet. Let me tell you, this is what's called the value proposition. Every business has a product that they market, and there's a value proposition to the customer. So what is the value proposition of, here, I'll give you a value proposition of one of the largest network marketing companies in the world that has a terrible retention rate. Buy everything you now currently buy for more than you now currently spend. That sounds awesome, right? And you're like, no, I wouldn't do that. I would never, why would I pay more for what I already buy? Why would I do that? And then they go, oh, but there's an opportunity. If you convince other people to spend more than they normally would spend on things that they normally buy, then you make money. And you go, oh yeah. And so what happens is you go, that's right, maybe I can talk other people into this. So then you start talking people into it because you're interested in the opportunity. I'm going to do something that does not make sense, that logically makes no sense, because there's an opportunity in place. Now, the minute that I am no longer interested in the opportunity, what's the first thing I stop buying? The product. That does not happen in doTERRA. 82% have never signed up another person, and yet 74% order every year. Do you guys see this? I don't know that there's going to be another doTERRA come along. Not in the network marketing space. And I've seen the professional network marketers that I thought, oh man, I got to go talk to so-and-so. He'd be so amazing. He's built a massive business in another marketing thing. And then they get in, they go, there's too much product education that needs to take place. There's too much. I can't handle that. That's just too much. Why do we have to go through this door 1 and 2 thing? Let's just do door 3, man. Forget the steak, sell the sizzle. That's the language they told me. Or, here's one. Seth, I heard you were doing doTERRA. I got this call when I first started doing doTERRA. This guy had created a downline of over 100,000 people in another company. Called me up, Seth, I heard you were doing doTERRA. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, why? Why would you do that? And I said, well, their products are incredible. And he goes, whoa, Seth. Rule number 1, the product doesn't matter. And I was like, and that is why you created 100,000 people downline and make nothing from it. Right? Who cares if you build it and it lasts for 5 years? That's bucket hauling. I want something that's going to be around for 30, 40, 50 years until I'm dead and I can will to my kids. So, product sales are independent of the opportunity. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you get why that's the case? All right, it's a new opportunity. 2008 is when this thing was founded, and yet all those buildings over there, doTERRA is a debt-free company with no outside funding. No intent on going public. And that, by the way, is one of the most important things when you consider the longevity of this company. I just learned that one of the most stable, most respected companies in this industry just changed their comp plan in such a dramatic fashion that all their leaders left because all their checks were cut in half. And the reason why is because at some point that company became about consumed with making profit. And if a company says, oh, but you know what? Our company, our plan is to go public someday, and we're going to make our public or our offering, our IPO, available to our field, and they can own stock in this company, which is all great and dandy, except that once you go into that realm, the only thing that matters is profitability. Profitability is king at the expense of quality. And so why did the founders of doTERRA not take in any outside funding? They said it was because they wanted to make sure that they could always have the highest quality oils available and that it would not be totally based on profit. Cool, huh? So those are all reasons why you want to make doTERRA your pipeline. Now, once I explain this, then I get into, now let's talk about how doTERRA pays. doTERRA pays us in 5 ways. The first is retail sales. You buy it at wholesale, you can sell it at retail. There's a 25% markup. Is this a bucket or a pipeline? It's a bucket. And every time I ask this question, when you're doing your business overview, you ask that question when you explain a way that doTERRA pays you. Is this a bucket or a pipeline? And this is a bucket, which is why I spend about 2 seconds on it. I've probably made a couple $100 total in my time in doTERRA and retail sales. I just don't spend much time on that. The third one, or the second one, is the fast start bonus. The way that this works is if you're here, you sign up someone, you're going to make 20% of anything they purchase in their first 60 days. If this person signs someone up, you're going to make 10%. And if that person signs someone up, you're going to make 5%. What is your name? So if I were to enroll Lori, then I'd make 20% of anything that Lori purchases in her first 2 months. If Lori were to enroll Fred, you'd make 20% and I'd make 10. And if Fred were to enroll Pauline, you'd make 20, he'd make 10, and I'd make 5. Does that make sense? Is this a bucket or a pipeline? It's actually a bucket and it's a pipeline. Let me explain how. This 20%, when I talk to you, I'm going to get a 20% commission that lasts for 2 months for the effort that I put into this. That's bucket money. But this 10 and the 5% right here, that's pipeline money. An example of this is that I don't enroll people that frequently anymore, but I receive fast start checks every week. That's pipeline money, okay? Any questions on this? Now, when I do a business overview, I actually do say, I go through that so that they get it the first time, all right? All right, now, the third way is the power of 3 bonus. You're here, you enroll 3 people right there, and if you and them are each purchasing a minimum of 100 PV in product, and if the total volume between you and your entire front line, so it could be other people on your front line as well, is at least 600 in OV, then you'd receive a check of $50 a month. If these 3 did the same thing, you'd get a $250 check, and if those 9 did the same thing, then you'd get a $1,500 check each month. Is this a bucket or pipeline? This is the first true pipeline in doTERRA yet. Then you get into the unilevel bonus. Now, can I just tell you that I love the unilevel? Unilevel, let me just say it this way. If Unilevel was a woman, I would marry her. Unilevel is the Jenny of my life. My wife's name is Jenny. Jenny is a synonym for Unilevel. I would completely marry Unilevel. And the reason why is because it's so good to me. And this is how it works. If you are right here and you sign someone up, who signs 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 someone up, you're going to get paid on all of the 7 levels of referrals you get paid on. Now, you're going to make 2% of all the volume on level 1, 3% of all the volume on level 2, 5% on levels 3 and 4, 6% on levels 5 and 6, and 7% on level 7. Now, you'll notice that if each of these people were to refer 3, right? So you signed up 3. That's what that times 3 means. You'd have 3 people on level 1, right? Then you'd have 9 people on level 2, then 27, 81, 243, 729, 2187. That's how that would grow if each person referred 3. Now, notice that the percentages that you make go down. That was actually, when I saw this was the first time, Kirk, I don't know if you, but did you ever see this before doTERRA? I haven't seen it either. I always saw this. Everybody always paid 7% at the top, and then it would slowly get smaller as it went down. And the reason, why would they do that? Because they have to replace 87% of their team every year. And so when you have a really high retention rate, then we can be patient here, waiting for here. But if I know everybody's quitting in their first year, I better pay them as much as I can right here, and for who cares what they're getting there. You get what I mean? That's why I'm saying I don't know that doTERRA is going to come around ever again. doTERRA. We're going to have a product that's so awesome, so applicable to every person that has a body in the world, which is everybody. 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 Right? So it's so applicable to everyone. And we're all sick and tired of our existing system. You know, I love the fact, let's say that you really empower a mom. Really empower her to where she can take care of her family's health naturally. And she's confident in that, and she's having success in it. At what point down the road does she go, I think I'm going to go back to chemicals? That never happens, right? I mean, when does that happen? Never is the answer to that. Okay, so here's the thing. Right, with this, you're going to make the least percent on the least amount of people and the most amount on the most amount. So yes, when you get started in doTERRA, this is the smallest portion of your check. When you get started in doTERRA, it's the smallest portion of your check, but eventually it dwarfs everything, which is why if it was a woman, I'd marry it. Any questions? Oh, let me just point this out. Same size of team, same monthly average, your check would grow up to $32,000 per month. Over here, it would max out at $12,000. Would you give up about $20 initially for an extra $20,000 eventually? You all say yes. And yet, yeah, then you could add the power of 3. So 9 plus the 50 is 59, which is more than that. So never mind, doTERRA pays you better all the time. Right? So even if you put in the power of 3, then it really kind of kills it anyway. But my point is, but you're ruining my point with this. My point was, would you give up $20 now for an extra $20,000 later? And most people say, yes, I would. Because I build my doTERRA business if I ever found the time. I'm really busy with my job, though. Oh, so you gave up $20,000 a month later for $5,000 now? Right? Same thing. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. Exactly. So when I'm enrolling someone, I make more money by placing them under the people that I already have on my team. It financially incentivizes you to act in a very helpful and integrous way. You know, and so in other words, we do a class, I'm like, well, I'm going to stick everybody up under me because I'm going to make more, right? Okay. All right. Now, that is a pipeline. Now, here is the leadership bonus pools. And let me just tell you, I love leadership bonus pools. I love them a lot. I wouldn't necessarily marry them, but I would certainly make out. I'd make out, for sure. So, leadership bonus pool, this is paid every month. Basically, the way this works is that if every month the company takes 6% of their total global sales, they split that into 5 different bonus pools. They put 2% here. And every month out of that 2%, they split that up like a pie. And if you are a silver in the company, you're going to get 1 slice of that pie every month for about a $150 bonus. If I'm a gold, I'm going to get 5 of those slices, which would be about $750. And then if I'm a platinum in the company, I'm going to get about 10 of those slices for about $1,500. So that's how that bonus pool works. Then they take another 1% here. This is split up amongst the 3 diamond ranks. And then they take another 1% here, and they just split that up amongst diamonds, another 1% just for blue diamonds, and another 1% just for presidential. So If I'm a diamond in the company, I'm going to get my one slice of this pie here. I'm going to get one slice of this pie here for a total of about a $4,000 monthly bonus on top of my unilevel and fast starts and power 3. If I'm blue diamond, I'm going to get my one slice here and my 2 slices here for about a $12,000 monthly bonus. And if I'm presidential, I'm going to get one slice down here and 3 slices up here for about a $35,000 monthly bonus. Okay? Any questions? Yeah?
Would you make out this one while you're married?
No. No. Prior to marriage. Prior. That's prior to marriage. Incredibly, with doTERRA, your wife becomes both. This is still Jenny to me. Yes, I get it both. All right, so is this a bucket or pipeline? Pipeline. So now when I get done with this section here, at this point, typically people say, well, how do I get in these pools? And that leads to the last page of the business overview, which is the rank section. And in the rank section, we're going to go over these different ranks. Whoa, let me go back. So we talk about executive. An executive is 2,000 of overall volume. An elite is 3,000 in overall volume. And there's no structure requirement, meaning that I can sign up one person, and that one person could do 3,000 in volume, and that would qualify me as elite. Let's say that I had one person underneath of me, and that person ended up building a $1 million OV business. They were doing $1 million every month. I would be what rank? I would be elite. And the reason why is because in order to hit Premier, there's a structure requirement. I have to have at least 5,000 in volume, but I have to have at least 2 teams that are executive. So if I had one team that was enormous and I didn't have a second team that was executive, then I'd still be elite. So I still have to build a team to 2,000 OV. Then the next rank is silver. This is the first leadership rank. It's the rank that gets you into the bonus pools. And the silver has 3 elites, 3 teams that hit elite. So what would be the overall volume of a silver? At least 9,000. And the average income of a silver is $2,200 per month. A gold is when those 3 people that you were working with here, now all of them become premiers, and that's about a 40. The average income of a gold is $4,900 per month. Then your platinum income, wow. We updated the numbers based on doTERRA's new 2015 numbers. Platinum has those 3 people have now become silver. The average income of a platinum is $9,500 per month, $9,580. What was it last year? $8,800. Good news, people. We make more and more. And then, if you add a 4th team, so to be a diamond, you need to have 4 teams, and each of those are silver. The average income of a diamond also went up, $17,000 per month. Then you have blue diamond. A blue diamond has 5 teams that reach at least gold. The average income of a blue diamond is $38,500 per month. And then the presidential diamond has at least 6 platinums. And the average income of a presidential diamond is $112,000 per month. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of income you'd like to make, right? So what kind of doTERRA business do you want to create? Here's some examples. You could earn free products, which would be anywhere between, in these areas here. Or maybe you'd like to create a part-time business, or you want to go big. Which would you prefer? Go big. And I love that because then I get to find out exactly who I'm dealing with, right? Okay. And by the way, for those of you who've done business overviews, after you get done explaining this, what do they normally say? Gold? Silver? Yes. So it's kind of one of the other. It's like they say gold or presidential diamond. And the reason why is because They either are saying, I want to think responsibly, I don't want to get excited about something that probably won't happen and something, right? So then they go, well, this right here, this would start to make a really big difference in our life, and so they take it to the level they believe it. Okay? So this is the business overview. My advice for you in regards to this presentation, you want to be as comfortable presenting this, if not more so, than you are the essential oil class. A lot of times people are very comfortable teaching the class because it's all comfortable. Let me just teach. Let me just teach you about the oils. But if you want to be great, you have to be great at a membership and business overview. Those docs are so critical because the membership overview ensures that loyalty rewards orders take place, and the business overview ensures that duplication takes place. And so if duplication isn't taking place, then you will feel all of the weight of your business on your shoulders. You're gonna say stuff like, I'm always calling the same people, begging them to come to classes because why? Because you're not out helping other people teach their classes. And so pay attention to that because you've got to master the art of duplication, and this is where duplication happens right here, because you commit people to do what you're committed to do. There it is. And I don't know, is it in the workbook? Okay, so as you can tell, this is a new edition, but basically the reason we did this is because we wanted to give someone, it just gives them some hours, like 3 to 5 hours per week, 8 to 12 or 15 to 30. And the reason we put that in there is because then you know what a person's willing to commit to do. So when they say, yeah, I want it. Okay, what level do you want it? And then they can select the level they want it, and then you know who you're dealing with and the time commitment they're willing to give. I actually did a mastermind call with my major leaders on the team, and I asked them, I said, when you were going from 0 to silver, how many people were you teaching per week? And how many classes or people were you teaching a week? And how many nights a week were you going? And all of them said that they were teaching, that they were putting in at least 20 to 40 hours per week in their part-time. Now, these are all people that are eventually diamond. But that's what they said. And the thing that I've noticed is that everybody has a tendency to think that they're going to be presidential diamond or something like that with that kind of effort. And you just need to know there's something called the law of the harvest. You just don't get something like job-dropping residual income that changes your life and the lives of your family and generations later on no effort. Like, it's going to take some significant sacrifice. However, I would love to have someone come to me and say, hey, I'm going to give you a job 15 to 30 hours a week, and 5 years later, you're going to make $1 million a year. No. Sucks. I like the 40-year plan better. Okay, any questions on business overview before we move on? All right. So now, once a person has committed to door 3, and they say, yes, I want to learn about it, and now I'm committed to build, the next step is to take them down the mentoring path, all right? Now, the mentoring path is like this. We invite everyone, we work with those that move towards us, and we mentor the committed. So, do you remember when Rod was doing the 3-door exercise up here? Oh, yeah. Okay. And Ollie was doing this. In order for one to come to the other, Rod had to move through those 3 doors towards Alia, correct? You work with those that move towards you. You're constantly inviting, and you work with those who are open to move to you. Does that make sense? So let me tell you how most people normally do this. You invite some, you work with those who show any signs of interest, and you mentor those that don't want to do it. Or this one. I would hit my ranks, but none of my leaders are doing anything. You invite everyone. You work with those that move towards you, and you mentor the committed. Otherwise, what happens is it creates a lot of drama in your team. A lot of anger, a lot of drama, a lot of like, I wish you would do this, right? Love people where they're at. You love them where they're at. If they want to go big, love them there. If they don't, love them there. You don't have, don't wish they were something different. Just invite them, inspire them, lead them, but work with those that are committed to build. All right, so now let's get into the fast track planner. When a person commits to build, I like to give them a fast track planner and go through this with them. The first section of the fast track planner is the prepare section. So what I'd like for all of you to do is start to fill this out as if I were mentoring you in your very first time with me. So in other words, you said, yes, I'm committed to build. Let's do this. And I said, okay, first off, have you had a membership overview? If you have, will you please check that box right there? If you've had a membership overview, which all of you have, you've been through this. So Rod gave a membership overview just a little while ago. If you've set up your loyalty rewards order for at least 125 PV, then go ahead and check that. And if you're connected to live training, we do weekly phone calls. Every Monday and Wednesday we do calls. And that's live training on product and the business. And people need to plug into that. Most major diamonds, and in fact, I don't know that any of them know, but most diamonds have some sort of weekly team call that you can participate in. And let me just explain why this is important, because I actually don't know of anyone who is really, really successful unless they plug into that. And the reason why is because it's the first sign of activity. So people can say, oh, Seth, I believe this is for me. I believe. Can you get on the team call? I can't do that. And you don't believe enough. It's like saying, I believe in God, but I don't show up to church. It's like showing up is a sign of activity, and it's the minimum amount. It's the smallest sign of activity. Now, that should lead to the other, well, I'm speaking of church in this regard, but let me just say this. That's time you spend in church should lead to 7 days of living what you say you believe. Well, showing up to a team call should lead to 7 days of living what you say you believe. Does that make sense? So that's why you show up to that. So, or you got to get them connected to live training. Have they had a business overview? All of you have, so go ahead and check that box. And have you set goals? In particular, do you know what your goal is? Your long-term vision with doTERRA. Do you know why it's important to you? Do you know when it will be accomplished? And do you know how it will be accomplished? If you don't have that, then we will get to that later on. Schedule your first 3 classes with your upline. So I like to get out a calendar and schedule out the first 3 classes with them right then, and we coordinate our calendars with them right then to teach the classes. Then you want to create a names list. If you've created a names list with at least 100 names, then go ahead and check that box. If not, you know what to do. You want to get equipped with you need extra oils to share. The Edge Success System that includes all of the tools that we have here is available at edgesuccess.com. And also down below here today, you'll notice there's a 10% discount on all of your seats, and Aroma Tools is offering that as well. And then you want to get some books. You want some essential oil books that allow you to teach the class with those. Okay? Okay, and then you want to watch and listen to audios and to the training. Now, we have some audios that we'll just show a little bit later, but these are ways that you can just start taking this information and getting them learning it and learning the basics of building their business. Okay, now we're going to go to step number 2, which is find and teach 45 contacts. Do you see that? What I would like for you to do is let me go back. No, let me go back again. There. What you're going to do is I'd like for you to write down, think of at least 10 people that you've taught a class to. And if they've been to a class, it doesn't mean they've signed up, but they've at least seen the presentation. Then I want you to write their name in, like right here. So if I've taught 10 people, just take 30 seconds and write them down. Who have you taught a class to? Write in the names. I see people not doing this. Is it because you haven't taught 10 people? Or is it because you're ignoring me? Because if you're ignoring me, we're going to have words. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Okay, now, once you've written in the names, okay, if the person has enrolled, I want you to put a dash in the blue box that looks like that. Next to the name. All right, now, if the person has had a membership overview, I'd like for you to finish the X like that. If the person has had a business overview, will you please put that dash in that box there? You'll see it, so next to the name. And then if they have committed to build the business, finish that X. Now, the reason why this is very valuable to do with the people that you're working with is because if someone is serious about building the business, they may create a names list of 100 names, and they need to teach a minimum of 45. A minimum. That's the beginning. But when they teach 45 names, you're going to see real quickly when you're mentoring that person. This is the mentoring path. This is me sitting down with them, watching how they're doing. And I'm going to see, okay, you've taught, if they filled out 26 names, okay, you've taught 26. And it looks like 12 of those have enrolled. And of those 12, it only looks like 2 of those had a member overview, no one's had a business overview. I know how to help you. See what I'm saying? This is a very valuable tool to help you do that. My challenge to all of you is to fill in these 45. If you're already diamond, if you're already silver, gold, whatever, fill it in again. Teach another 45. And take them through that and see if you cannot find some significant leaders out of that process. All right, now down below, this is where I would set some goals with them. So what this is here's your goals, and I like to say, okay, what do you want to accomplish over the next 90 days? Just kind of give them an idea, get an idea from them of what they want to accomplish. And what is your long-term goal? Let me ask you that. I'd like for you to write this down. Think out 5 years from now. You could even go further than that if you'd like. But what do you want to accomplish with doTERRA? I just gave you a business overview. You have an idea of the earning potential. Maybe you could put a rank there, the name of the rank. What's your long-term goal with doTERRA? Is it silver? Is it gold? Is it diamond, blue, presidential? What is it? I want you to write that in, okay? Now, to help you discover your reason why, and by the way, your why evolves over time, just so you know. Initially, your why that may really push you to do something is, I want to pay the bills, and that is awesome. So, whatever that, but discovering your why, like why it's so important to you, I'm going to give you all a challenge, and I want you to take this assignment seriously. For 1 week, 10 minutes each day, write in your journal the answers to the following questions. If my long-term goal was a reality today, how would that change my life? Can I have an example of what your long-term goal, what you wrote down? Somebody? Yeah, what'd you write? Presidential diamond. Now, okay, so there's over 100,000 a month. Yeah, okay, good. So you're still, I don't just want presidential. I want 150. Okay, so have you ever done this journaling exercise?
Not for the 10 days.
7 days for 1 week, 10 minutes every day.
Not for the 7 days.
Okay. You've done it for 3 days. How was that experience?
It was exciting, and it made me think really hard, which kind of hurt.
Which kind of hurts. So, and what was exciting about it for you? Like, why was that so exciting?
Because it was a dream, and it got me to really get motivated. It got that motivation, that fire that I wanted, and I even applied that to other goals in my life besides doTERRA.
Great. Holly, can you come up here for a second? So, Holly is, can I just tell you how my partnership with Holly came about? She is one of my frontline leaders. And Rod and I were in Five Guys because, as you know, doTERRA is all about wellness, and Five Guys fits that. And Five Guys is awesome, yes. Well, it's partly because you want reasons to use the oils. So get sick so you can use the oils. No, never mind. Okay, so No. So it was up 5 guys. And I asked, and I'm walking by, and I can't even, I said, hey, how you doing? And we knew each other from church. I think we used to go to the same church. And then she goes, she said, what did you say?
I said, do you still do doTERRA?
Yeah, do you still?
Rod had a jacket on that had doTERRA on it.
Yeah, so Rod was wearing a jacket that had doTERRA, and she goes, oh, yeah, do you do doTERRA? And no. I'm like, no, it's more like this. Huh? Right. So anyway, so then, I went over and she was already enrolled. She was already on my team, but we were, but then we were like, hey, we should maybe look into the business side of this. Okay, now,
So
you did.
Would you be interested in learning about it? I said, yeah, I'd love to.
Yes. Okay, so I asked her, would you like to learn? She said, yes, right? And the rest is history. Now, I gave you this assignment to journal. What was the impact that assignment had on you?
So when I started doing the journaling assignment, we were kind of in a spot where we couldn't dream because we were really stuck financially. And it was a little bit scary to start this because to start to dream was like, I don't want to dream because what if it never comes to pass?
I get your hopes up just to...
Right, exactly. And so so my final entry of my journals was failure is not an option. And I think I wrote it like 5 times. And it's not.
And how would you say that journaling assignment has sustained you through all the hard times that came after that?
Not all of them. Because
Right,
it's hard.
It was my excellent leadership that did after that. No.
A lot of mentoring.
But what
right.
would you say, what role did that play? I'm glad you were honest with that. That's for sure.
It just kept me going, I guess. And it kept me going through a lot of maybe negative feedback and this is not going to work and things like that from
Right.
others.
Thank you. Can we please give her a round of applause? Thanks, Howard. And I'm pretty sure, I should have asked you this while you're here, but the second question that we have people journal about is, what happens if I never reach this goal? And you don't have to journal about that every day, but typically you journal about it enough to realize that it's going to suck really bad if I don't get it. And so, in fact, that was probably a little bit more powerful to you, that second question, wasn't it? Because this is what we could accomplish, but if we don't do anything, then this is where we're going to stay. And I found that there are 2 great motivators, and one of them is the desire for gain, a dream, and the other is the fear of loss or total disgust. Have any of you got to that point? Like absolute disgust, like, you look in the mirror and you just go, oh my gosh, and then you go and do something about it, right? You're just disgusted. Like, I can't believe I've let myself, or I am so sick and so tired of this bank account looking like that. Right? And there is a point of total disgust, and that's actually a pretty dang powerful motivator also. Okay, and then I like to just give them some goal dates on these goals because these are all the foundational ranks. Let me just say this. The reason why I don't mind just helping people set a goal date to get to gold, because if a person goes gold, they will go diamond. The same skill set that it takes to reach gold is the same skill set it takes to reach diamond. You need to be able to have leaders who have leaders. Now blue and presidential, that takes more. But diamond, you can get all the way there. All right, now, here are the daily to-do activities, or the activities you need to do to be successful in your business. This is called the 631 schedule. I'm going to go into this in more detail. But this is the key. This is how you make any of those ranks a reality. And then let's go ahead and open up the Fast Track Planner to the middle. And this section is where I put the people that I'm working with. So can I have everybody just write down a name, any name. It could be someone that's on your team, right? Yeah, in fact, someone that you've enrolled. What was that?
Like a team builder or just a...
Yeah, team builder would be better. Yeah, someone who's actively working would be best, but whatever you got, put there. In fact, there's 20 lines there, so you can put in people that are leaders and other things too. Then what I want you to do is if the person has had a membership overview, please check this box here. If they've had a business overview, check that box. Let me see if this Nope, it didn't. If you've set goals with them, check that. If they've created a names list, check this. And if they've listened to the training audios, then check that. Now, what you do is this is where you keep track of how many people they've taught a class to. So when I'm mentoring my team, I could call them up on the phone and I could say, they're looking at the front of their fast track planner. I say, okay, goal is to get through 45. How many people have you taught thus far? And they could say, I've taught 10. And I'll go, okay, I want you to make a dash in the white box just like this. Do you see up here? Everybody see that? You're going to make a dash right there that looks like that. 10 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, of the 10 people that have been to a class, how many of those have enrolled? And they're going to say 5 of those have enrolled. And I'm like, okay, I want you to make a dash that looks like this. 5 over. So I know you've taught 10. I know that 5 of those have enrolled. Of the 5 people who have enrolled, how many of those have had a membership overview? All 5. Great. If that's the case, I'm going to make that mark. All 5 over. Do you see how that works? And how many of those have had a business overview? 3 of them. So it should look like this. 3 over. 1, 2, 3. And of those 3 people, does anybody want to build? Yes. What's her name? Or his name? Joe. And I'm going to put Joe's name right there. So as I have the 20 people that I'm mentoring in here, then what I like to do is when I'm on the phone with them, I'm asking them these questions. And if you are mentoring, just realize that if you know the answers to these 5 questions, you know everything you need to know about that person's business. How many people have you taught a class to from your names list? I've taught 20. Okay? How many of those have enrolled? 10. 50% close rate. Not bad. Of the 10 people who've had a membership that have enrolled, who has had a membership overview? All 10. Perfect. Your follow-up is amazing. Of those people who have had a member overview, how many of those had a business overview? None. If I'm mentoring them, what's the problem? They're not sharing the business. Why? Probably because maybe they don't believe, or they are afraid to bring it up. They're afraid to bring it up. See what I mean? If I know the answers to these 5 questions, and of the people who've had a membership or business overview, who wants to build? So if I'm talking to someone, let's say that they've taught 45 people a class, so 45. If you taught 45 people a class, how many people have them normally enroll? What's your experience? About half? Yeah, I think so too. That's typically where it is. So we're going to have about 20, 23, 25 in there, somewhere in there that will have enrolled. Of those, every single person that has enrolled needs a membership overview. Everybody does. It's customer support. It's nourishing the seed. It's watering the seed after it's been planted. You have to do it. So membership overview, and then I'll say, okay, so let's say that 23 people have had a member overview. How many of those have had a business overview? It should be at least half. So there should be about 10 to 12 that have had a business overview. And out of those 10 to 12 people who've had a business overview, who wants to build? And they should be able to give me names. And typically, if I go all the way through 45, about half. So if I teach 50, about 25 will enroll. About 10 to 12 will be open to the business side of this, and you're going to find about 3 to 4 very committed people. That should take you to diamond, actually. Okay? Any questions on this? Yeah.
So the middle section is independent of the top 20 enrollment section.
So what you're doing is you're writing the names, and then that name. So if you write a name here, you're going to follow their progress all the way along here. That's correct. So when I am mentoring people on the phone or whatever, they have planners, I have planners, and in the middle I'm tracking all of their progress. And this is how I'm seeing. And if I know, and this gives me the answers to those 5 questions, which helps me know how to mentor them the best. Okay, now on the back of the Fast Track Planner is a section here where it has the imagery here of tap rooting. Taprooting means that you're building leadership in depth. So if you're here, you're going to find your top 3 leaders right here. So who are your top 3 generals? Or as Rod likes to say it, they are the CEOs that he's hiring. So if you were to look at each organization as a multi-million-dollar corporation, who's the CEO that you would like to hire to put in that spot? Okay? Now, we call this $1 million real estate, meaning that you don't just give this to anybody. Like, ask you, like, if they were running a multi-million-dollar, is this the person I want to work with? Is this the person that I want to raise my kids around? Is this the person that I mean, we're going to be in this for the next 30 years of, who do I want to hang out with? Those are actually some of the questions I asked myself when I was just getting started in this. All right, then what you want to do is, if you're working with this person, here are the 4 critical or essential skills that they need. Finding, teaching, enrolling, and duplicating, you'll see right here. So when they know how to find, I check the F box. When they know how to teach, I check the T box. When they can enroll people, I check the E box. And when they're able to duplicate themselves and others, I check the D. Do you see what I mean? And so I'm checking their progress in the critical skills, and then I'm developing leadership depth. And the way that this looks is like this. So when you're taprooting means that you are developing leadership in depth as you go, versus stacking. Stacking is when you place someone underneath of the other person, right? So let's say that I sign up 5 people and then I sign them up just like this. That's stacking. But if I were to go to you and you say, hey, I want to build, and I start working with you, and then you find someone, it's your contact, and they're a promising builder, then I get in and start working with that individual. Let me just give you an example of what I mean. The first person that I contacted was Heidi. She's my sister. And so I called her up and I said, hey, Heidi, what do you know about essential oils? I'm actually in Young Living, I found out. She had just signed up in Young Living a little bit before that. And then I said, again, I didn't have the language that Rod taught you earlier. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in doTERRA. She's like, yeah, Young Living says their oils are better. I'm like, well, doTERRA says theirs are better. But what I ended up saying to her is I said, how about this? Why don't we go with whoever has the best oils? And so anyway, back then, I don't know if there were some classes that I went to, and people would actually hand out the oils, not just the doTERRA oil, but they'd also send around a Young Living oil with it. And so every time you got to be smelling the difference and things like that. Anyway, you can tell who won that. But anyway, so I said, we actually both won. Right? You know. So I'm working with Heidi. Now I got to tell you that when Heidi committed to me, I lived in the car with her when we were driving around teaching people classes. And in the process of us teaching as many people from her network as we could, we enrolled a lot of people. One of the people that we enrolled was Jody, who's also my sister. And so I started working with Jody. And one of the people that we enrolled under Jody was Natalie, who's also my sister. So I started working with Natalie. And one of the people that we enrolled with Natalie is Jacqueline, who's also my sister. I have six sisters, by the way. 3 brothers. And then started working with Jacqueline and enrolled Travis and Sarah, who was her brother and sister-in-law. And I started working with Travis and Sarah. And then we started working with Lisa, who is Lisa is Sarah's sister. So I started working with Lisa. And then Lisa started enrolling a bunch of people, and we started working with April. And my point is this. Taprooting is when you enroll a bunch of people with them, and you find the person that you want to work with, and then you get in and start working with that person. And you work with them until you find the next person from their network. What you're doing is you're opening up networks. So all the people that you know, and then all the people that they know, and then all the people that they know, right? Does this making sense? But you're picking one of those people. Now you don't have to just pick one. You can work with multiple. But it's really smart to find a promising leader and then to just keep taprooting down, down, down. And the reason why is because it builds so much fire up above. Could you imagine, like, if I'm down here with April, we have an amazing class, 5 people enroll. Who do I get to share that success with? Everybody up here. Hey, we just did this. Now, this is going to cause a whole bunch of activity. And guess what's going to happen? Jacqueline's going over here and over here and over here. And she's, right? While I'm taprooting one team, it's causing enough fire up above that it's causing this taprooting to happen. Does that make sense? In other places. All right. Now, the result of this, I'll just give you, it goes like this. Let's see here. Silver, gold, diamond, silver, elite, diamond, me. Did the same thing with Courtney, Julianne, Shannon, Todd, blah, blah, blah. That goes gold, silver, diamond, silver, blue, diamond. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it creates so many levels of leaders. So do you think that those teams are going anywhere? They're not going to quit. None of them are quitting, right? So this is a fantastic way. Do you get how to use this? All right, so find the next leader, develop leadership in depth. Okay, the duplication cycle then looks like this. Classes lead to enrollments. Enrollments lead to membership overviews. Membership overviews lead to business overviews. Business overviews lead to committed builders, and committed builders leads to more classes. Does that make sense? That's the process. So of all the things we've taught you today, it all culminates in this right here. Mentoring is helping people cause that cycle to continue. Find out what's not happening on your team and focus there, and you're going to see a major difference. I have a team over in Ireland. They had a very low retention rate. For some reason, they weren't having a lot of people get on loyalty rewards. And so then what do we focus on? Membership overviews. All the focus shifted to membership overviews. As a result, they went their retention rate and the amount of people on loyalty rewards skyrocketed, and that team went diamond shortly after that, just by focusing on where they were struggling. Is this making sense? All right, now let's go to this awesome little book here. This is called the My Daily Edge. It's a notebook, and in the middle of this notebook is the 631 schedule, and so let's go over each of these in detail. So what I would like for you to do, you have it there, right? Do you see it in your workbook? Can I have you fill this out as we go through this exercise? It'll make it much more powerful. So the first thing is who will, actually first thing I want you to do is circle the month and day on the top. So it's 13th. Okay, and now on question number 1, it says, who will I invite to a class or a one-on-one? Fill in those names. There's 5 places for you to fill in names. Can you please fill that in? Who are 5 people that you can invite to a class or a one-on-one? While you're filling that out, let me just say this. If any of you feel like you're in an area where it's difficult to pull off classes because of so many people have been introduced to doTERRA in your area, then shift to one-on-one model. It works extremely well. Okay, do you have the names in? All right, now let's go to question number 2. Who has attended a class that I will follow up with? So these are the people that have come to a class, but they have not enrolled. Who has attended a class that you still need to follow up with? Write their names in there. Okay, question number 3. Who has enrolled that needs a membership overview? Write them in. All right, question number 4. Who is using the products that needs a business overview? Question number 5. Who is building the business that I will support? And question number 6, what will I read, watch, or listen to that will help me develop as a leader? So every day, be developing. You could all put in there boot camp. Good job. All right, now, over to the right, these are the 3 weekly objectives. These are the things that you want to accomplish on a weekly basis. Number 1 is you want to attend your team calls. If you have attended your team calls this week, then go ahead and check those boxes there. Yeah. Yep. And then number 2, have you talked to your mentor and set goals with them? So an accountability partner. And then teach 2 to 5 people a class every week. Teach 2 to 5 people a class. Now let me actually specify this. If you want to go slow, teach 2. If you want to go faster, then teach 3. If you want to cruise, teach 4. And if you want to get there at a blistering pace, teach 5. Because if you teach 5 people a class every week for an extended period of time, you cannot help but be very, very successful. And in fact, I'll also say this, teach 2 to 5 presentations per week, whether that be a class, member, or business overview. Okay? If you tell me your numbers, I'll tell you where to focus. If I'm mentoring you and I say, how many people have you taught? How many have enrolled? How many of those have a member? You tell me where you're at and I'll tell you where to focus. I could say, okay, this week I want you to focus on question number 3, who needs a membership overview? That's where your focus needs to be this week, right? And then finally, the one thing you do each month is you attend your monthly event. We actually have monthly events that happen over at the doTERRA corporate headquarters that we do every single month, and all of you are invited to those. And those happen on the 2nd Saturday of every month. And you can bring your teams, and that's... Yeah, so this month we're doing this boot camp, but generally we have a monthly event, and they typically last 2 hours, two and a half. And they're free, so come and bring as many people as you'd like. All right, if you're wondering what to listen to, like question number 6, what will I read, watch, or listen to? There is an audio set called The 4 Essential Steps to Build Your Essential Oil Business. This is an audio series that Rod and I came up with years ago, actually. And the reason we did this is because we felt like we were training people to do the same things over and over and have the same questions that came up every single time. These are the essentials, and it teaches you how to find, teach, enroll, and duplicate. All right, now, also, if you like electronic versions of things, this is something I love. This is the My Daily Edge app. If you go to mydailyedge.com, you can set up your account there, and then you can actually put the app on your phone. When you can download the app in the App Store as well. But the app is designed around the 6 daily questions. Each of those 6 daily questions has a medal. It's designed to give you bronze, silver, or gold medals throughout the week based upon whether or not you are performing at a high enough level for your business. If you want to go anywhere, you really need to at least have a bronze medal in all of those categories. If you want to succeed at a faster rate, then you need to be going silver or gold. Does that make sense? In all of the critical categories of building your business. This is how it looks with the 631. So every week I can get in and see how they're doing with the 6 daily questions, the 3 weekly objectives, and the 1 monthly event. And you'll also notice here that I can see how they're medaling in each of these categories. As a leader, when I have people on my team get onto the app and they give me permission to see their medals, it looks like this. Well, it actually looks like that, but let me show you how. So if a person wants to get a bronze medal, if they've invited at least 3 people to a class that week, then they get a bronze medal that week. If they've invited 6, they get a silver, and if they've invited over 9, they get a gold medal in that category. Like a lot of times people go, okay, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Okay, here it is. A person came to me a while ago and they said, hey, I would like to be a gold in 3 months. And I said, gold medal in every category for 3 months, you'll get there. Okay, if you're telling me to do that. Then what happens is I was able to come in here and see exactly where they were in each of those categories and how they were doing medaling in those areas. Now, let me just say this. This app costs $9.95 per month. The company that does this for us, we don't actually own this technology, but they came to us and they said, hey, please use this, promote it to your team. And I said, we're not going to do it unless it fits our system. They customized this to the 631 schedule for us. And so I started using this, and this is a phenomenal tool. And the reason and by the way, this is an electronic version of these products here. It is a names list. It is the Daily Edge notebook. It actually does do a lot of the things the Fast Track Planner does, and it has all of the audio series in it as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. But let me actually just read this to you because I love what she said. I got this just the other day. Joy is her name. She says, success is found in mastering the fundamentals. No amount of techniquing or fancy bells and whistles can ever replace mastery of the fundamentals. And this principle applies to any sport, skill, or endeavor. The fundamentals of building a thriving oil business is built on the 631 routine. Asking 6 daily questions, performing 3 weekly tasks, and engaging in 1 monthly activity. In my first week of using this app to track my performance in the 631, I was shocked. The app showed me I wasn't doing as much as my brain told me I was doing. It was a humbling moment, and I love this next phrase. Apparently, thinking about building my business didn't count as building my business, according to the app. By the way, I've experienced this. I actually was talking to a lady, and she goes, I just can't do this. I feel overwhelmed by it. And I said, how many people have you taught this month? And she said, 1. And I said, why are you overwhelmed? You've only taught 1. And what it ended up being was the mental fatigue that took place of knowing she should be doing it and she wasn't. Do you know what I mean? I know I should be doing this, and look, just decide and do. It's actually less hard than agonizing over doing it. Then she says this, after I got past my own smoke and mirrors about how much I was doing in my business, I buckled down to focus on my activities on the 631. The app awards you with bronze, silver, and gold medals according to how well you perform in each of the areas of the 631. My goal was to reach gold across the board. I knew that if I consistently gained golds across the board each week, then I would reach diamond in 1 year, and I want to actually give you that challenge. I don't think that you could actually hit gold in all those categories and not be diamond in a year. And then she says this, fortunately for me, I had another humbling moment when I struggled to even gain bronze across the board in my first week. That's when I realized that proclaiming I was going to go diamond in a year didn't equal actually reaching it in a year. And then she says, so it was a love-hate relationship for me at first that has now grown to pure love for the app. I love how transparent this app made my business building, and I at first hated my lack of results, but you know what? It was no wonder that I was stuck at Premier for 3 months prior to using the app because I wasn't doing the 631 consistently. Upon using the app, I hit silver 1 month later. Isn't that cool? What's our time like? All right. I like your exactness there. That was phenomenal. All right, so I'm going to just end. I want to end this training with a little exercise for you. Just think about this. What would happen if you received a $5,000 check every month on the 15th that came into your bank account regardless of whether or not you worked? What would happen if you had a $10,000 check? If a $10,000 check hit your bank account on the 15th of every single month, how would that change your life? Would it change it in a significant way? How would it impact you, your family, and those around you, your community? You don't have to answer this out loud. I just ponder this. Think about it. Now, what if that was a $25,000 check? If that were hitting your account every month, what would happen? What if it was 50? If you had a $50,000 check that hit your account every single month, what would you do with your life? What if that was 100,000? I'm actually going to ask for some comments on this, but when I started with 5 and 10,000, where did your mind immediately go? Pay the bills. What happened when I went to the bigger numbers, 50 and 100? Vacations, freedom, trips, right? So that happens. And then what? Where'd your mind go after that? Sorry? Helping others, giving back, serving others. Here's the point. Thinking small is so selfish. When I said 5,000, all of you thought, did you think about giving back? Did you think about helping others? When did you actually start going, oh man, I could help here, I could help here? When did that happen? When you started hitting these bigger ranks, right? Thinking big is selfless. After a while, I remember when I first started, you want to know one of my major reasons why when I got started? Like, what's your why? You know what mine was? When I hit diamond, I want to do nothing. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I want anybody talking to me. I don't want to do anything. That was a major reason why for me. So guess what? I hit diamond and I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. It was awesome. I didn't have anything. I didn't have to be anywhere. I didn't have to talk to it. I was just there. And that lasted for about a month. And then I'm like, I want to do something with my life. And then I started thinking about others. Thinking big is selfless. If you take that journaling exercise I gave you seriously, you'll start to realize your divine mission and purpose. I've come to understand in my time doing this and the hundreds of people that I've mentored in this business that every single person has a divine mission and purpose, a reason that they were born. And it has absolutely nothing to do with hauling buckets. I don't think any of us were put here on earth to haul buckets until we were dead. To haul buckets until we're too old to do anything with the retirement we've earned. I promise if you do that journaling exercise, you're going to start to recognize that you have a divine mission. Something that's bigger than you could possibly imagine. That's humbling and scary. Because you have to decide if you want to live that. Because the other thing that's really scary is realizing that once you know why you're on earth, that it actually is a choice to live that life or not. It's a choice. And you may say, but this isn't my nature. I'm not very good at this. Okay. Get good at it. I'm scared to talk to people. All right. Do you want that? Do you want to fulfill your mission and purpose in life? And then what's really valuable is then when you find out what it is that you're supposed to do, then align that with your doTERRA business. And realize that through your doTERRA business, you can obtain all of that. You can accomplish anything you want. You can do whatever you'd like. You can make whatever difference that you want to make. All right, so let's talk about how a diamond thinks. How do we think? If you understand how we think, then you're going to start to act the way diamonds act, and that is that we have an extremely high awareness of the value of a pipeline. We value pipeline money way more than bucket money. For example, we have a long-term vision, and we have no problem investing in the pipeline now. This is what normally happens in this process. We look at this bonus right here. That $50 bonus, the most disrespected element of our comp plan. But $50 a month is not $50 a month through buckets. That's $50 of pipeline money. And that has a value. How valuable is that? Well, you could go and if you were making $10 an hour, you could go work for 5 hours and make $50. Or you could invest $12,000 into an account that earns 5%. And that $12,000 in an account earning 5%, by the way, if any of you have found an account that earns 5%, let me know. But if you had a retirement fund that was earning 5% and you had $12,000 in that account, it would generate $50 per month as a residual check to you. Does that make sense? Now, how long do you think it would take you to create this organization right here? Let's say 3 months, just for the heck of it. I mean, let's say that it took you 1 month to find one person who loved the oils enough to order them on a regular basis, and you did that for 3 months. Now, after the end of 3 months, most of you'd go, this isn't working. This actually kind of sucks. That's like $1 an hour, you'd start to say. But in reality, that's about $4,000 per month that you put into a retirement account. I'm going to give you an option. You can create this organization, or you can invest $4,000 per month into a retirement account earning 5% over the next 3 months. Which would you prefer? All right, let's go bigger. Here's $250 bonus. That is worth $60,000 sitting in a retirement account. 60 grand in an account earning 5% would generate $250 per month. How long would it take you to build this organization right here? Let's say it took you 6 months. I'm going to give you an option. You can take $10,000 every single month for 6 months and stick it into a retirement account, or you could spend 6 months building this. Which would you prefer? I'm sure you all have $10,000 you can scrounge together to do that with, but let's look at silver. Do you know that a silver organization is worth $528,000? How long does it take you to go silver? Let's get after it. I'll give you a year. Let's say it took you a year to get here. You know what that is worth? Where is it? Crap. No. Yes. That is worth $44,000 per month. If you were to invest $44,000 into a retirement account every single month for 1 year, it would eventually end up with $528,000 in an account. That $528,000, if it was sitting in an account earning 5%, would generate a check of about $2,200 to you each month. Does this make sense? So you have two options. Save $44,000 per month for a year, or build a silver organization. Do you see that? Now, here's the reason I bring this up is because a lot of times people go, man, you've been working really hard at that doTERRA business. How much are you making? Well, I mean, we make about $2,000 a month. Man, you've been working 40-hour weeks you're only making, well, actually, I created a $528,000 asset, and I'm pretty happy with that. Do you see what I mean? Don't get so frustrated with where you're at. I mean, look at the previous rank right here. This is the rank where the money amount where all the quitting happens. They all say, okay, I'm only making $250. It took me 6 months to get here. Jeez, working my butt off, and I'm only getting $250 a month. And you go, yeah, you created a $60,000 asset in 6 months. Don't quit. You see what I mean? Value it. Diamonds value pipelines more than they value buckets. And you have to get to the point to where you do too. I'll never forget when I first started building doTERRA, a guy came to me with an opportunity. He showed me how it would work, and I did the math, and it turned out that I'd make over $1 million a year. And it would last for a couple of years. I ended up calling up a few people and asking them about this particular product to see the interest level. Every person I called said yes, they were interested in it. I knew the opportunity would work. I knew the money was real. I knew I could make over $1 million if I were to do it. And then what happened was I had this little doTERRA opportunity. And my thought was, If I go back to that, I'm gonna again fall into this pattern of giving the priority to the bucket instead of the pipeline. And I turned that down, which is a for sure deal for me. It was for sure. And I turned that down for what I knew I could do with doTERRA because I was committed to the pipeline. You have got to sell out to the pipeline. All of you have got to create one. Everyone has to create one eventually. Why not now? I mean, it's this or Social Security. So look at a diamond income. Do you know a diamond income is worth over $4 million? What if it took you 4 years to build that? Well, that's still like investing $84,000 per month. Or let me give you this scenario. If you came to me and you said, Seth, I'm sick of hauling buckets, but I want to create a pipeline. And I said, okay, here's how this is going to work. You're going to come work for me, and here are the tasks. There's 6 things you need to do every day, 3 things you need to accomplish every week, and 1 event you need to attend each month. That's what you have to do. And every month you do that, for the next 4 years, I'm going to put $84,000 into a retirement account that's yours. You're never going to have access to those funds, but you're going to get the interest off that account every month. Are you in? Do you see what I mean? Well, then why don't you do it? Because that's actually what's happening here. Look at this blue diamond rank. It's over 10 million. Look at this presidential diamond rank. Okay, look at that. A presidential diamond income is worth $227 million sitting in an account. Do any of you have anything better to do over the next 10 years? That's going to earn $27 million? Let me just tell you another story. This also happened to me. After I had reached Blue Diamond, my family, we went and lived in Ireland for the summer. When we were there, I came back. I had a good friend of mine call me up. He said, Seth, I want to offer you a job. It was flattering that he would offer me that. So I went and at least heard him out. He offered me a $500,000 per year. I went back to my wife afterwards. I said, honey, look what they offered. I didn't expect that. And she goes, what do you do with that? I'm like, I don't know. Do you turn that down? She's like, do you turn that down? We're like, and then she goes, well, what are they going to expect? And I said, well, for $500,000 a year, I mean, it's a full-time thing. I'm going to be there at least 12 hours a day. And then she said to me, what would happen if you were to put 12 hours a day into doTERRA? Where would you be in 2 years? I'm like, well, there. So then I did the math. And I went back to him and I said, you're going to have to pay me $229,000 per month in order for me to consider this. I turned down that job. Now here's the question. Would you have done that? If someone offered you $500,000 a year for a bucket hauling job, $500,000 a year, would you have enough faith in the pipeline for you to turn it down? If you can't answer yes to that, then just so you know, you may not be thinking like a diamond. Is that kind of harsh? I'm sorry, but it's true. All right, this is exciting. All right, now, the other thing I've learned about diamond is it's a choice. And you can choose. You can choose your comfort zone and your excuses, or you can choose diamond. You don't have excuses. You have choices. So make the choice. And then finally, you're going to want to declare it. Tell everybody about it. Like Rod mentioned earlier, let your network know what you're doing. Let them all know. This is what I'm doing, and start to own it. You know my favorite thing, when someone asks you what you do for a living? I used to have all sorts of things. What do you do for a living? I help people with their health and wellness through, you know what I do now? What do you do for doTERRA? I'm a big distributor in doTERRA. Or what do you do for a living? I'm a successful network marketer with doTERRA. They're like, whoa, really? Yeah, really. Do you want to learn more? And all of you can say that if you've made the choice. So start to declare. The diamond is a declaration. And when I say declaration, can I tell you what I mean by that? When I say that it's a declaration, you've got to just go big or go home. If I had time, what is our time? I'm sorry. 11 minutes. No kidding. Man, I keep on thinking. Okay, diamond is a declaration. And I'm not talking like, hey guys, I think I'm going to go diamond. It's like, I am diamond! You see what I'm saying? Like it has to be completely sold out. You're doing this, right? Otherwise, people will be like, yeah, I kind of believe you. All right, now let's go to the goal setting section of this, and we're going to end here. I'd like for you to write in, what's your goal? And if you'd like, yeah, just to write this in. What's your long-term goal with doTERRA? What do you want to accomplish for real? The why section, I want you to do this at home. I want you to take the journaling assignment to heart. And after you've determined what your long-term goal is, journal about what it's going to be like for you when you reach that goal. What will you waste away your life doing? Would you waste away your life in the service of others? Then what kind of service and to who? Describe that completely. When? Let's come up with some goals. What are you going to do this month? If you know, write it down. What do you want to accomplish this month? What do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days, and what do you want to accomplish in the next year? I'd recommend sitting down with your mentor, the person that's in your upline, and sitting down with them and getting real clear on exactly what you do want to accomplish in the next month, 90 days, and a year. And help them come up, and then let them help you come up with how. This is the strategy of how you're going to do that. Let me just give you this piece of advice when it comes to setting goals. Have all of your emotion in the what and the why, not the when and the how. Have all of the emotional investment in the what and the why, not the when and the how. This is what happens when it's on the when and the how. I'm going to be diamond by this day. And then that day comes around and it doesn't happen, and you're devastated by that. It crushes you because it didn't happen on the day that you wanted it. But if you care more about what you're trying to accomplish and why you're trying to accomplish it, and that's where the emotional energy is invested, then when you try to reach that goal in the time frame that you thought you were going to reach it, and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen how you thought it was, and the strategy you came up with wasn't as perfect as you thought, then you can step back and go, okay, I need to rethink the when and the how, but not the what and the why. Does that make sense? Get real passionate about the what and the why. And then that's where all of the passion needs to be, and then the when and the how. I set the goal of reaching diamond. I had 6 different goals the dates that came and went. And I was sold out to that. I'm going to hit diamond in this amount of time. And I was like, oh my gosh, that did not work. And then what I did is I said, okay, learning from this failure, I changed it. I came up with a new strategy, a new timeline. I worked that strategy and that timeline to the best of my ability, and the date came and went. And I wasn't diamond. And so I figured out, what did I learn from my failure here? The reason why you put a date on the goal is because it provides urgency to the activities you need to do. You have to have a date so that you have urgency in your activities. Otherwise, you'll just get there eventually. The other thing is learn from your failures. When you set a date and you reach for it and you don't get it, all that means is that there are lessons to be learned. Learn from them, adjust, change, and then reach again. And in the doing comes the understanding. The journey becomes necessary, and the struggle of the journey actually becomes the test that you need to build the strength of character you're going to need to have to enjoy the wealth you're about to experience. And it'll also give you the wisdom to be able to lead the team you're about to get. I mean, could you imagine walking up to your team? Hey, how are you doing? I'm really struggling. Yeah, I can't relate. No one's talking to me. Everybody listen to me. I set my goal and I didn't reach it. Yeah, I got it in the first shot. Man, you're so inspiring. I know. And if you're blessed like I am, you can have it happen just the way it happened for me. Otherwise, you're a loser. Right? That's not a very inspiring message. So find purpose in the journey. By the way, how you do it, how to do this is the 631. it's increasing the rate of the 631, but it's those activities. If you want to get these products, all of them are available at edgesuccess.com, and there's a 10% discount downstairs today. But does this make sense how it all flows together? I hope you kind of see how the 3 doors work. You take your entire network, you feed your names list. You then invite that network through door number 1, who wants to learn, to an essential oil class. These tools help you pull off a great class. Once they've come to a class, we're inviting them through door number 2 where they're going to use the products. We're going to invite them to enroll. That leads to a membership overview. That membership overview has an invitation to the person. Are you open to share with others? That leads to a business overview. And it also has the Buckets and Pipeline CD, which I didn't go over very much, but let me just say this. The Buckets and Pipeline audio is a thing where I can hand someone an audio and say, will you please listen to this? I was talking to this one gal in Florida, and she said, sorry, I don't have any time. I just can't make time for this. And I said, do you have a 30-minute? I said, how long does it take you to get to work? She said, 30 minutes. Listen to this in your car. Gave it to her. 30 minutes later, she sent me a text, and she said, I'm done hauling buckets. What do I need to do next? It's a fantastic tool for that. And then once they have committed to Diamond or to building the business, then the mentoring path includes these tools here. Does this all make sense? I hope that you found this helpful. May you be prosperous in your business, but realize that this is not luck. This is a formula of doing the right activities in the right order, and when you do that with consistency and persistence, you will reach your goals. It's just a matter of time. Thank you very much.